Britt Pennington is suing her ex-boyfriend, Ombe Mobley, for loans to fix his car, pay off court fines, and to reinstate his gym membership.
Order. All rise. Now it's case number 310 on the calendar, the matter of Pennington versus Mobley.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Miss Pennington, when did you and the defendant start to date?
April of this year.
And when for the first time did you loan him money?
I loaned him money 3 weeks after that.
For what?
I gave him money for his car to be fixed, as well as money to get his LA Fitness back on order.
And how much were those two loans?
I gave him a couple $100 for AutoZone to get fixed for his car, and then another $150 for his LA Fitness membership.
Tell me how that came about.
He text messaged me asking me for money to get his car fixed to go back and forth to work, and I felt as though I needed to help him being his girlfriend, which we were in a relationship, a committed relationship within probably 2 weeks of when we met.
That's some commitment.
Yes. He asked me for the money to get his car fixed, and then he also asked me to...
Well, what did he say to you?
He said that he was not able to get back and forth to work, that he needed to get a head gasket set put on his car, and I loaned him the money.
Go ahead.
First of all, Yana, she was never my girlfriend. Everything that she gave me...
Don't start with everything. Let's start with car repair.
Yes, ma'am. The car repair, she gave it to me.
Well, tell me how she knew that your car needed repair.
I told her my car, my car broke down.
Well, tell me when, how did you tell her? Did you call her? Did you write her? Did you text her? Did you tell her when you were having lunch? How did you tell her that your car needed repair, Mr. Mobley?
On the telephone, Yana.
So you picked up the phone and you told her?
We was talking on the phone, and...
And you said?
I told her that my car was broke, and I needed help to get my car fixed.
My car was?
My car needed to be fixed.
And you needed?
A head gasket.
You needed?
Help. My bad, John.
Now, at this time, according to you, she wasn't your girlfriend.
No.
And she was never your girlfriend.
No.
Well, then why would you ask her for money?
Because she said she'd help me.
No. Listen, I am older than Methuselah. However, I do have an intact memory of my dating time, when I was a younger person. And I don't remember ever saying to anybody, I'm going to help you out financially, unless they told me that they needed being helped financially. So my question to you is, why would you, Mr. Mobley, tell somebody that you weren't involved in a relationship with, that you needed help? Could they give you money?
She offered, John.
There's something wrong with you.
Yana, she offered to help me, Yana. And when I told her my car was...
Just a second. Why would you tell someone that you weren't in a relationship, committed relationship with? Why would you have a conversation? My car's not right. I don't have money to fix it. I needed to go to work. Why would you burden somebody that you weren't in a relationship with all that baloney?
Because I knew that she'd help me.
Ah, there you go. Because you knew. Just a second. I don't think you're adorable, by the way.
I think you are, though, Yana.
Though that's very good. You're right, I am. I don't think you are.
Okay.
So you told her, now we got it right. Now you told her you're tailable because you knew she would help you. That's being dishonest. And you knew she would help you because she liked you and because she thought you were in a relationship.
She loved me.
She loved you.
Yeah.
So then you were being doubly dishonest. You were playing on her emotions, even though you knew you weren't in a committed relationship. Who are you?
I'm his friend, Your Honor. It was roommate.
Why didn't he ask you for money?
Because I'm in the same boat as he is, Your Honor.
Sit. Do you understand where I'm going, Mr. Mobley?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm trying to think if that is just a big empty suit that you're wearing. And so far, it's coming up empty. So far, it's coming up empty, Mr. Mobley. It's showing me a lot of bad character. So far, you needed money for your car under false pretenses because you asked somebody who cared for you, and you played on that to extract money from her. You're going to pay for your own car. And the car was $200. Now, did you use the same ploy when you needed money for your LA Fitness membership?
She took it upon herself, Yana, and called LA Fitness.
Did she?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see how that came about, Mr. Mobley. You work at LA Fitness. You train people there. That's what I gather from here.
I work out at LA Fitness.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a professional fighter.
So you're a professional fighter and you work out at LA Fitness?
I work out at LA Fitness, yes. That's the lift weights. I work for a company called XFC. It's a Extreme Fighting Championship. We do cage fighting, like UFC.
Great. But you work out at LA Fitness?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what would cause Miss Pennington to call LA Fitness? Look at me. What would cause her, as opposed to calling De Beers for diamonds, or Harry Winston for a necklace, or Kmart for toilet paper, what would cause her to call LA Fitness?
First of all, I don't shop at Kmart. And
Just a second. I don't. You have to understand. So you're not auditioning here, Mr. Mobley.
I know, Your Honor.
This is my program.
Okay.
So there's only one star here. Him.
All right.
Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. What would cause her to call LA Fitness?
We talked. We had a conversation.
And Mr. Mobley.
We had a conversation, Your Honor,
about.
But I did not ask her to pay it.
No, that's not what I asked you. I said you had a conversation with her, and in the conversation you said...
My LA Fitness membership has expired.
And
that was it. I didn't ask her to pay it, Your Honor. So it wasn't like
right?
I asked her.
Go ahead.
I actually have 90 pages of text messages stating exactly what happened during the car episode, exactly what happened during LA Fitness.
90
I have soft copy and I still have a hard
car is
copy.
a done deal. Car was $200.
Right.
LA Fitness is what I want to see. Just the emails from him about LA Fitness.
Yes, they're all in here as well.
Just take them out. I'm not going to read 90 pages.
No, I know.
Yeah. Oh, fortunate. We got from 90 pages, we got to one. This is incomprehensible. They're going to put something like this in a time capsule and bring it out 200 years from now and say that this was a generation of people who were total illiterates because of this texting business.
Mm-hmm.
The text speak. It's illiterate.
Oh, yeah.
Do I get to see that, Your Honor?
Yeah.
Because I don't recall saying anything. So.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're not going to con me, sir. You may be a really good bouncer at a club, and you may be really good with the ladies, but I guarantee you, I could wrap you around here. The only thing is I have 8 other cases to do today, and you're beginning to bore me.
And later today.
And in addition to drawing a salary from the business, you also paid for your tan.
No, ma'am.
Believe me, I'm looking at her. She didn't go for a tan. That would be you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Margaret Pennington says ex-boyfriend Ombe Mobley owes for several unpaid loans. Ombe claims Margaret offered to help him out.
Would you please show this to Mr. Mobley?
Sure.
Thank you. But, Your Honor, anybody can send text messages.
Just a minute. I'm not asking you anybody. You asked to look at it. I'm showing it to you.
I don't remember sending this text message.
You don't remember it?
No, I don't.
I want you to read those
messages.
through and tell me if any of the facts in those ring a familiar bell to you.
No.
Nothing?
No.
Well, then let me ask you more specifically, Mr. Mobley. I'll take it back. Who wrote, Miss Pennington, what time do you have to be in St. Cloud?
I did.
I don't know nobody in St. Cloud.
It was a fighting match he had to go to that day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. I did have a fight.
Now, tell me about the probationary fines you paid for and when.
I paid for them on 7/16 of this year and 7/22 of this year.
How much?
$236.90, $751.90, and $236.90.
What were your probationary fines for, Mr. Mobley? Is not an answer, sir. What did you get into trouble for?
I got federally indicted by the feds for cocaine.
When?
5 years ago.
Did you serve any jail time?
Yes, a little bit, Your Honor.
How much?
Yeah, that's behind me. I'd rather not talk about that.
I don't care what you want to talk about, then you pay the money.
No.
They're your fines. And if we're going to find out what they are, then we'll find out what they are.
The fines is for, it was court fees.
So are you prepared to pay them?
No.
Very good. Then we'll get back to what were you convicted of, sir?
I was convicted of possession of cocaine when attempted distribution.
And how much time did you serve?
I served a month, Your Honor.
And how much probation?
Probation was 5 years.
She paid several sets of fines. Were they all involving the same charge?
Yes.
All?
Yes.
Well, why didn't you pay the fines?
She offered to pay the fines.
Why didn't you pay the fines?
Because I couldn't pay him at that time, Your Honor.
Why not? You bought that nice suit. Not at that time, at any time.
I was in a bind.
What do you mean you were in a bind? You're a big, strong guy. Go and wait tables. Go and work in a club. Go and work in McDonald's. Do something. You have probation fines. You pay them. Why should she pay your probation fines? She didn't sell cocaine.
No, she didn't, but Your Honor, this was 5 years ago.
She didn't sell cocaine 5 years ago or 10 years ago or yesterday. You did.
Yes.
They're your fines.
Yes.
So who should pay them?
She offered to pay him.
You're an idiot.
I'm not, I mean, Your Honor, I should pay him, but she offered to pay him.
You sold the cocaine. You pay the fines. That's the way the law works. You con somebody else into paying the fines, we should put you back in jail. They should have put you back in jail anyway if you didn't pay the fines.
A second chance, Your Honor. Everybody deserves a second chance.
Well, they gave you a second chance.
And I'm taking advantage
part of
of my
your
second
chance, they said you have to pay these fines. That's part of the second chance. We're not going to put you in jail for 5 years. We're going to put you in jail for a month. And we're going to say, take a second chance, but you got to pay these fines. You say, I'm not paying these fines. I'm going to get some broad to pay my fines.
I didn't say that, Your Honor. I didn't say that at all.
Well, then how would she know, Mr. Mobley, since she wasn't your girlfriend and you weren't in an intimate relationship with her?
We was intimate.
No. No, just Mr. Mobley. Mr. Mobley, having a physical relationship with somebody, as you well told me 5 minutes ago, doesn't mean you're in an intimate relationship. You said she wasn't my girlfriend.
She knew that, Your Honor. She knew.
There's something wrong with you. You think you're going to con me like you've been conning other people now for years? You're not going to con me, sir. You may be really good at fighting mixed martial arts, and you may be really good with the ladies, but I guarantee you I can wrap you around here. The only thing is I have 8 other cases to do today, and you're beginning to bore me. Let's understand each other.
Yes.
You sold the drugs.
Yes.
You pay the fines. We understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1575. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
If a person offered to pay it, what am I going to say? No?
No, I don't think he saw me as a dollar sign.
If a person walked up to you right now and say, yo, I'm going to give you $1 million.
I just think that I have a good heart, and I was trying to help him out.
What, you going to say no?
I guess everybody learns from their mistakes. He was my mistake.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of O'Boyle versus Clemens, step forward.
Mary Katie O'Boyle is suing her former business partner, Jeremy Clemens, for taking money from their business account, a tax debt, and accountant fees.
Miss O'Boyle, you and Mr. Clements went into a business venture together, according to your complaint, and that business adventure was a salon business.
Yes.
It didn't work out. Business is no longer viable, but it is your claim that there was a business account from which Mr. Clements paid personal expenses, unbeknownst to you. I'm not exactly sure, after reading Mr. Clemens' answer, what his defense is to that, except that he says you knew that he was paying personal expenses out of your business account. Okay. Miss O'Boyle, what is it that you allege Mr. Clemens paid out of the business account?
I have them all here, Judge Judy. Target cards, beach bum tanning, Ranchero restaurant, Belk's.
During what period of time?
This was in April, and it was like a 5-day spending spree.
May I see it, please?
Yes.
Did you pay a Comcast bill out of this?
I do not know, Your Honor.
Well, if you don't know, and that's what it says, then I guess you did. Sally Mae. Sally Mae what?
It's a student loan bill.
$336.99. That sound right?
That wasn't what I paid monthly, but
I didn't ask you whether you paid it monthly. Maybe you missed a month.
I might have.
Might have. What about Sunoco, sir?
I did go on a business trip for the salon, which I did use the card for gas.
And how much did you put into the business account from that business trip?
How much did I put into the business account, ma'am?
There's an echo in here, Mr. Clements. My question is, how much did you put into the business account from that business trip?
Well, I didn't take a paycheck. So basically, it depends on how much I had from that week that I would have made.
I don't think you're cute, actually. I don't think you're cute. I think that you did the wrong thing.
No, ma'am, Your Honor. She knew every...
Don't tell me what she knew. First of all, I'm looking at you and you're lying. First of all, I'm looking at you, and believe me, the hair goes up on the back of my neck when somebody is lying to me. And Mr. Clemens, I'm looking at you, and when you say to me, she knew, you're a liar. The camera will find that in your face so that the 10 million people who watch this at least once a day will see that look that I'm talking about. They're becoming very clued into that look, Mr. Clemens.
I'm not lying,
very
Your Honor.
Oh, yes, you are. You telling me that you told her that you had drawn out a check to pay for your student loan in the amount of $336?
Well, after the 12 beers she had had, she probably doesn't remember.
Mr. Clemens, the camera's getting you, sir. The camera gets liars. If what you're saying in your answer is she was drunk all the time, so she doesn't know what I told her and what I didn't tell her, what I think is you're a hustler and you took advantage of her.
No, ma'am.
I think you're a hustler and you took advantage of her and drew out an awful lot of money that didn't belong to you, that you didn't work for, and that you figured, well, I got this lady. She doesn't know. She's an old lady. What does she know? You know, I'm younger and I'm smarter, and I've been hustling all my life, and this is just another hustle.
No, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Mr. Clemens. See it. I see it. Because nobody who runs a business lets their partner, unless they're also drawing things out, paying personal expenses from the business account. Then some people say, you know what, I'll pay a couple of bills from the business account, you pay a couple of bills from the business account, and it'll be a wash. But that didn't happen in this account, Mr. Clemens. The only one who paid their personal expenses out of it was you.
She wrote herself checks from the account.
You.
She didn't use the card. She wrote herself checks.
What about...
And had her clients pay her.
Just a second, Mr. Clemens. What about you? Did you not draw a salary from the business? Just answer my question. Did you not draw a salary from the business?
A commission-based salary, yes, ma'am.
I don't think you're cute, Mr. Clemens, in case you haven't figured that out yet. Did you draw a salary from the business?
Yes, ma'am.
That would be the answer. And in addition to drawing a salary from the business, as Miss O'Boyle did, you also paid for your tan.
No, ma'am.
Believe me, I'm looking at her. She didn't go for a tan. That would be you. Listen, Miss O'Boyle, he's a hustler. You're not supposed to go into business with hustlers. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,100. That's all. Step out.
Thank you, Judge Judy.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
Parties on Lewis versus Lewis. Step forward, please.
Secretary Royce Lewis is suing her 19-year-old stepson, Daniel Lewis, for money she loaned him to buy a stereo when he was 16.
Okay, so that we understand who the cast of characters are in this case. This is your stepson.
Yes.
This is your biological son.
Yes.
Are you still married to his father?
Separated.
Married but separated.
Right.
Well, a couple of years ago, while you were probably all living together, correct?
Yes.
According to this, you made a loan to these two boys.
Yes.
To go out and buy some stereo equipment. At that time, he was 16.
Yes.
And it was your agreement that when he turned 18, he would pay you back.
Yes.
Turned 18?
Yeah.
What happened?
He never paid me back. The agreement was that when he turned 18, and I didn't ask for interest or anything, and before I gave them both the money, which was cash, I said, this is with the understanding that when you each turn 18 and get your money from your trust account, that you will pay me back the money that I've loaned you. And they both said yes. I said, then go get stereos for your car.
So you got a stereo for your car?
Yes, I did.
And you got one for your car?
Correct.
When did you separate from his father?
About 2.5, maybe 3 months ago.
And it was after that that you filed this lawsuit?
Right. I told him I was going to the time we were together, and he said I couldn't because he's a pastor of a church and it's his son, and I wasn't allowed to. I said he owes me the money and he's not paying it, and you're not doing anything to get it.
Well, but the marriage was already on,
right.
going
No, actually, no, it wasn't.
Well,
But
then I'm going to tell you something. If you threaten to sue your
Well, no,
husband's son, that's a good time for marriage to start to go south.
Well, I didn't threaten immediately. I said, somehow something has to happen here. It's not right that he's getting away with all this.
Okay.
Okay. Our agreement, basically there was no agreement. She came up to, I did not ask for the money. I did not ask for anything from her. Me and James were both outside one day. She came right in front of our door. She walked down the stairs and was asking us if we had car stereos and how they worked and all this stuff. And she says, well, do you guys want to go down and get new CD players? And of course, I'm 16 years old. You know, I would love to have a new CD player for my car. So she gave us a blank check, said she told us how much we could spend. Me and James went down, got the same exact CD player. I came home, installed it in my car. Later that night, sitting in my room, she walked through the door and then told me that when I was 18, I could pay her back because I was getting my settlement. Okay?
So what did you say to her at that point?
Actually, I never said anything. I never actually said, okay, yes, I will do this, yes, I won't. But the thing is also, even if I had agreed to that, I moved up to Sacramento shortly before I turned 18. When I turned 18, I never heard nothing. To this very day, she has never verbally asked me for that money.
That is a total lie. His dad has talked himself.
Not since.
Not talking about his dad. You said to you.
My dad left her 2 months ago, and that is when this is happening. And she's suing 4 of my dad's friends.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Have fun in jail because that's where you're going.
Miss Lewis, a minor cannot make a contract. When he was 16 years old, he could not have entered into a contract, either oral or written, with you for anything. And there are times when, if you enter into an agreement when you're a minor, and if you ratify it later when you turn 18 or 21, depending upon the jurisdiction, then it can become enforceable. But he did not do that. He did not ratify it when he became 18. You cannot make a contract with a minor who is 16 and expect it to be enforced in a court. This lawsuit is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. That's back.
You got my case next, buddy.
Yeah, I've already reported you to Wells Fargo.
I really don't care.
Right.
I really don't care.
Judge Judy will
Your Honor, this is case number 315 on the calendar in the matter of Davenport versus Agatep. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Miss Davenport, the defendant in this case was the companion of your father, who died recently.
Right.
And he died recently without a will.
Right.
Your complaint is that the defendant took money out of a checking account that was your father's.
Correct.
And that money rightfully belongs to his heirs, it's, in this case you, and whatever siblings you have, because if you die without a will, under the laws of this jurisdiction, your children inherit. That's your position.
Correct.
And it's your position that her father, with whom you lived for how long?
8 years.
Wanted you to have that money. You consider yourself his common law wife.
Well, right, yeah, in a way, yes.
Before I get to the actual dollars in this case, which really aren't a lot, according to what I see here, you say that there was about $6,000.
A little over that when my father passed away.
When he died, and that there was some $3,000 left in the account that you did in fact take.
My sister wouldn't close the account out because she lived by the bank, right?
So that at this point, according to your complaint, owes you $3,000.
Right.
Correct?
I don't know anything.
Just a second. I understand
Sorry.
your position, and your position was that there was more money in that account and that Ernest wanted you to have that money.
Yes, he did.
Okay. My primary concern, Miss Davenport, quite frankly, is with you, after reading your complaint. Because neither the complaint nor the answer told me how long the defendant lived with your father. It told me how long the defendant lived with your father. But it was a long time.
Yes.
Your father died of cancer.
Yes, he did.
How long was he ill?
Probably really ill for the last 6 months. He wasn't, fortunately, it went fairly fast for him, you know.
No, he was ill for 9 months.
Well,
and the last month was really tough
Nobody
on
ever
him.
disputed that.
Miss Davenport, you just said to her, nobody ever disputed that.
She did take care of my father.
I quite frankly am at a loss then why you're here and why you've pursued this lawsuit.
Because if she had asked for the money or something, it would have been, we probably would have given it to her. My father left her a $10,000 life insurance policy. He left her a paid-for house, and my father told me not too long before he died that between the money and his checks.
How much money in stocks did he have?
He had 506 shares of stock worth probably $32 to $34
He wanted
a
me
share.
to. Oh.
Which, worth what?
Between $32 and $34 a share.
What were his total assets?
40,000 maybe?
$40,000. And how many siblings are there?
5.
Okay. During the last 6 to 9 months, when your companion was ill and you were caring for him, how many times then, not counting Ms. Davenport, did the other 4 children come down and say to you, you're taking care of him, I know he's very sick, we'd like to help you out for...
None.
All right, I believe that.
None.
I believe that. Now, Ms. Davenport, you tell me, how many times did you go there and care for him for more than a day?
For more than a day?
More than a day.
More than a day, I couldn't.
What do you mean you couldn't?
I lived a long ways away and I have a small child at home. I went down there probably, I think, 4 times in 6 months before he passed away.
Then, Ms. Davenport, let me tell you this. This is not going to be a very long case. As far as I'm concerned, you ought to lean over and kiss both of her hands and her feet. Because she took care of your father. She showered him. She made sure he got to the bathroom. She washed him.
Yes, she did.
Quiet. She fed him. She made sure that he was taken care of, something that if she wasn't around, either his children would have had to do, and had to do something about taking care of your children and your small children and your brothers and sisters, their jobs and everything else, or you would have had to have put him in some sort of an institution, which would have cost money, probably more than your $40,000 that you got, or you would have had to have paid somebody substantially more than $3,000 over 6 months to take care of him. Now, something that you said really irritates me. And what you said to me was, if she would have asked us, we would have given it to her. She didn't have to be asked to take care of your father. She took care of your father. She didn't have to be asked to take him to the bathroom.
Can I say something yet?
Just a second. She took him there. So, and we're not talking about your entire inheritance of $40,000. What your complaint is, Miss Davenport, is that for a period of immediately before and immediately after his death, she went to the bank and withdrew at $300 increments half, you say half, of what was in that account, which was $3,000. So I, quite frankly, don't understand you at all. You couldn't get a nurse for $3,000 a month to take care of a critically ill cancer patient at home. So now that I've said my piece, you can say yours.
Thank you. For one, if anybody had asked, my father told me didn't want anybody down there trying to take care of him. If anybody had asked, I would have come down there. Like I said, if she had no right to go in there. If he had wanted her to have that money, why didn't she just go in there and take it all out of the bank at once? Why did she have to go in there?
She could have.
10 days in a row and take it out of an ATM machine instead of going into the bank and getting the money out if that was money was meant for her. That money was not meant for her.
What I'm telling you, you're not following what I'm saying to you. Unfortunately, when parents either get old or, unfortunately, if they become seriously ill, usually, if there is no spouse, children bear the burden of taking care of their parents.
That's right.
And they have to turn their lives upside down, usually, in order to do that. That means that if you have a young child, and if you want to take care of your responsibility to your father, that means that you find a babysitter for your child, you move into his home, you care for him. You didn't have to do that. And your 4 brothers and sisters, well, what are we going to do? Just leave him there to languish? Who was going to feed him?
He was only bedridden like that at the very end.
What's the very end? A month?
For a month, yes, probably.
Well, let's say a month, madam. Who was going to take care of him for a month?
If he would have let me, I would have, but he wouldn't let me.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You yourself and your complaint says he was a very difficult man. Yes, he was. Very difficult, hard to get along with.
And later today,
according to your papers, your wife was leading you on and then tossing you out. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes.
And then you were really mad.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gina Davenport is suing her deceased father's common-law wife, Cleta Agatep, because she took money out of his checking account. Cleta claims the money was rightfully hers.
You took money out of this ATM?
Yes, I did.
How much money did you take out?
I don't, about $1,500.
Now, you have a counterclaim here, which I assume that you filed after they filed their suit.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Now, you understand that because you were not legally married to him, under the laws of the state, because he died without a will, legally, you're not entitled to his money. You understand that?
Okay.
But he did provide for you in other ways. He left a life insurance policy for you?
$10,000.
Okay. So the only thing she says she took out of that joint account was $1,500, and there is at least, in my judgment, she had access to that account clearly through your father, who gave her both his ATM card and his PIN number, which means he gave her total access to that money. More important, there's a moral issue here, Ms. Davenport, that I quite frankly, who was able to sleep in her own bed at night with her child next to her and not have to nurse a terminally ill cancer patient who was her father for either a month or 6 months or 9 months, shouldn't be standing in a court trying to recoup from his longtime companion who lovingly cared for him until the end, $3,000 or $1,500. You should say, I'm really grateful that somebody who cared for my father, because you yourself in your complaint says he was a very difficult man.
Yes, he was.
Very difficult, hard to get along with. So here you have somebody who took care of you, a very difficult, hard to get along with, terminally ill father, and you're here over pennies. Well, I'm here to tell you, your case is dismissed. I'm also here to tell you that you're not entitled to any more than what you got. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Have the back door to your right.
And now the next case.
Parties on Thomas versus Simonetta. Step forward, please.
25-year-old mechanic Christopher Thomas is suing 34-year-old Stephen Simonetta for assault. Christopher claims the fight started because he is romantically involved with Stephen's estranged wife.
Mr. Thomas, you are living with the defendant's soon-to-be ex-wife.
Yes, Your Honor.
How long was he separated from his wife?
I think it was a couple of months.
And do you know how long they were married?
9 years.
You have children?
Yes, 2.
And they live with your wife?
With her, yeah.
And she was living with him?
Yes.
Okay. Where did this assault take place, sir?
In our home.
You were living with his wife and their 2 children in her home?
Yes.
That she used to share with him?
They never shared it.
They never lived there together?
I think maybe a total of 1 week.
So the assault took place in the home. Tell me about it.
I got off work and I went in the bedroom to take off my work clothes and change. And I heard the defendant walk in and...
Is your girlfriend?
Yes.
His wife?
Yes. And he started arguing with my witness, Christy. And then he comes storming in the bedroom and shut the door behind him and threatened me and told me that I had to leave out of the house and asked me if I was going to move out. Then stormed in, got him outside, and they were leaving. And then he came running back in the house and he goes, hit me. And I said...
He said to you, hit me?
Yes. And I didn't answer him, and the next thing I know, Christy's helping me up off the floor.
Now, Mr. Simonetta?
Simonetta.
Mr. Simonetta, you, sir, don't deny that you hit him.
No, I don't. In self-defense, I didn't just run in the house and start hitting on him, no.
According to your papers, your wife was leading you on and then tossing you out. Right?
Yes.
And according to you, in your answer,
when this gentleman went off to jail for a period of time, and your wife is a little bit lonely because he's not around, is that what happened, Mr. Simonetta?
Yes.
So she gives you a call one night. I mean, that's not all in here. I'm just sort of putting it together. So she gives you a call and says, I miss you, honey, come home.
Well, we were trying to get resolved, being he was out, and we could get established our relationship back together, being there was nobody around to interfere with it. And
That's what was in your head.
Yes.
But clearly it was not in your wife's head.
No.
Right?
Right.
She just didn't like to be alone for that couple of months.
Apparently, yeah, yes.
Because as soon as he came out of jail...
The day before I got a restraining order. Kicked right back.
Mr. Simonetta, just look at me.
Yes, I was mad.
You are really, really mad. Now, I don't tell you you didn't have a right to be mad.
Yeah.
You just got mad at the wrong person. You understand that? It's easier to blame him, maybe. The truth of the matter is, he probably didn't like the idea that she was playing both guys any more than you did. He didn't know.
He didn't know.
So if he didn't know, then he couldn't have been playing it. It was all
He didn't know until later on into the relationship when I ended up just discussing this and confronting him with it.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You're not following me, sir. What are you, thick?
Yes, you're right. I was sleeping in the house. The kids were waking up to me, yes.
And sometimes they wake up and find him sleeping in the house with their mother, right?
Apparently, yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Fighting over a woman. Christopher Thomas wants medical bills and lost wages from Stephen Simonetta.
Mr. Simonetta?
I understand.
I want you to look at me now and you tell me how it happened.
The day, a week before it happened, we were going to get together and go to the house and see what happened, what was going to go on, whether they were playing roommate or boyfriend and girlfriend or what, I didn't know. Just a roommate set up. Yeah, and I was stupid. Me fell into the whole the game, into believing it. We made a date. We was going to go up to the house, see the kids, talk about what was going to go on. He was supposed to be there. I told her on the way up there I was going to confront him, ask him if anything was going on. Was it a roommate thing or a boyfriend-girlfriend thing? I walked into the house. I went into the back room. I was with the kids for a minute. I went into the back half of the house. He was.
What'd you say to him when you started talking?
I said, "So, are you guys still got a relationship going on or what?" She came up and started saying something. I walked into the room. I shut the door behind me. I said, "Are you sleeping with her?" He said, "Yes." I opened the door back up. I said, "Are you sleeping with her?" And he said, "Yes." She heard him say it. I said, "There it is there." I turned and walked out the house. I said, "It's through." I walked out the house. I got out to the curb. I thought about losing my kids. The family was dead. I didn't want to, it started eating at me. I ran back into the house. He was in the corner of the kitchen. I said, "You ruined my life." He went like this. And I clocked him, he hit the ground. I turned around and walked out of the house, and that was my story. That was it.
Mr. Simonetta,
yeah.
Everything that you said to me, I'm sympathetic about. Other than the fact that you hit him. Because your kids were home.
My kids were outside when it happened.
Kids were home.
Okay.
I mean, I don't understand the kind of environment these children are growing up in anyway. One night you're sleeping in the house, one night he's sleeping in the house, one night she's sleeping in the house with him, one night he's sleeping in the house.
Place.
What?
I had my own house.
But you did sleep in that house. You told me for a while.
I came back to the house when he left for 2 weeks.
I understand. So the kids.
I had my own apartment at that time.
You're not listening to me, Mr. Simonetta. The kids are waking up seeing, for 2 weeks, according to you, you sleeping in the house?
It was going to work out. Yes, you're right.
You're not following me, sir. What are you, thick?
Yes, you're right. I was sleeping in the house. The kids were waking up to me, yes.
And sometimes they wake up and find him sleeping in the house with their mother, right?
Apparently, yes.
And sometimes, according to you, your kids wake up and find him sleeping with her,
yes.
According to you?
Mm-hmm.
Judy is ready to rule.
You had no right to hit him, Mr. Simonetta. You got to pay for it. Where are your medical bills?
Your Honor.
What?
He also, at my prior house, let's see, he came through the door looking for me, and I was not there, and he assaulted and busted up some furniture.
Who cares about that? What does that have to do with this case?
I was just letting you know that this ain't the first time that he was wanting to threaten me and hurt me.
Let me explain something to you, sir. This is some piece of work. Now, she's not here today to defend herself to any of this, right? But what I'm hearing, and I believe him because he pretty much almost admitted to me that whatever he did, he shouldn't have done. He assaulted you, and I'm going to give you money for that. I'm going to give you what you're asking for, in all probability. Well, your medical bills, right?
Yes.
You're entitled to that. He had no reason to hit him, Mr. Simonetta. And the fact that he's only suing you for $1,200 to me is very interesting because really, you know, he was injured. You injured him, clocked him.
Yep.
He passed out. Plaintiff in the amount of $1,200 as requested. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
She's spineless, and she's with him, and it's a big old threesome house game that they got going on. And
what's going on with my husband and his girlfriend, Steve, that you were living with?
She's got a big old game going on.
Judge, this is case number 308 on the calendar in the matter of Schnabel versus Timon. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. Schnabel, this lawsuit really has its genesis in a problem with your daughter. Is that right?
That's correct.
From what I gather from these papers, and I try to sift through them because they were kind of difficult to follow, your daughter was in a relationship with a defendant.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Something happened, which you're going to tell me about, and you claim that he damaged your car.
That's correct.
Why don't you tell me how that came about, sir?
Your Honor, it was the evening of June 27th of this year, and I was at home. I lived about 35 miles from the residence that my daughter shared with Steve. It was about 9:30 in the evening. I received a phone call from my daughter saying, "Dad, come get me. I'm at Steve's." And she hung up.
Had she ever done that before, sir?
She had.
How many times?
Once.
How long had she been with him?
8 months, probably. That's a guesstimate.
And how old is she?
32.
Go ahead.
I called back and immediately, and Steve answered the phone, said that she had been drinking, that she was intoxicated, that he had thrown her out of the house, that she had left in her car, and I said, "I'll be right there." I arrived, asked him, "Where is she?" "I don't know, don't care," in effect. Immediately across the street from the duplex that they shared is a large primitive area, probably 80, 100 acres of Douglas fir, undergrowth, nettles, blackberries, a very steep ravine. And at that point, we're standing in the front yard, and I heard her call out, "Help me." And it came from the vicinity, or this primitive area. I took off toward the area, and a neighbor came out because I was calling her name, and by now it's 11 o'clock, 11:15, somewhere in that vicinity. And I was not getting an answer back. I just could hear, "Help me." And they came out, loaned me a flashlight. I tried to get down, but it was just too steep. I went back to the house and engaged Steve in a discussion. We got in an argument. And
Well, tell me about that.
Well, I asked him, I said, "Why didn't you keep her here? If she was intoxicated, why didn't you keep her here?" And he says, "Well, I couldn't control her, and I threw her out. She got in her car. She went down, missed the corner, ran into a neighbor's yard, blew up a tire, took out a bunch of their cyclone fence, backed the car out, managed to get it back into the driveway, and then he threw her out again. And with that, obviously, she took off. I said, "You know, you're part of the problem." And with that, he said, "Out of here." And I realized that he didn't care anything. Missed, and he jumped back, and we stood there looking at one another, and finally, for my daughter. And I hit him in the stomach and tried to hit him in the jaw, and for my daughter. And I hit him in the stomach and tried to hit him in the jaw, and I said, this isn't finding her. I'm leaving. I bent down, picked up my cell phone that had fallen on the ground in the stomach and tried to hit him in the jaw. And I said, this isn't finding her. I'm leaving. I bent down, picked up my cell phone that had fallen on the ground, walked over to my car, around on the passenger side, opened the door, and in a rage, he came running over to the side of the passenger side of the car, took the heel of his hand, smashed it into the windshield. I said, now that's going to cost you. Got into the car, started, turned the key, and of course the power antenna came up. Well, he's standing right there, so he grabs that, he bends that over. He grabbed the windshield wiper and he spun that around, and I backed out and left.
Does your daughter have a drinking problem?
She does.
For how long?
To my knowledge, about, probably 5-6 years, as it turns out. It's been fairly
Before
well
she
hidden.
met Steve?
Yes.
All right, well, there are a lot of questions that I have for you, but I'm going to let Mr. Timmons... Steve?
Yes.
All right, well, there are a lot of questions that I have for you, but I'm going to let Mr. Timmons... Steve?
Yes.
All right, well, there are a lot of questions that I have for you, but I'm going to let Mr. Timmons...
Well, his daughter has a problem drinking, and we've gone through it for a long time and tried on numerous occasions to get her help. I told her if there was another incident with the police that she was going to have to move out. And when it did happen, when she was released into Phil's custody.
You mean there had been an arrest before?
2 weeks before.
Is that right, Mr. Schnabel?
That's correct.
What happened in that incident?
Again, she was at my house drinking, and police got involved and arrested her for that. And that was the last straw.
Judge Judy will...
For that. And that was the last straw.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You decided it wasn't your problem anymore. But you, just as a human being, you don't allow somebody who's intoxicated to go wandering off into the brush where she could have really been killed.
And later today...
You didn't give me the money until Friday.
Till Friday? You got the money way before then.
No, I didn't.
Now,
you know what? I kept a journal of everything.
Well, kept a journal
Miss Landros,
you got the money.
Talk to the judge, please.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Phil Schnabel says his daughter's ex-boyfriend, Steve Timmons, damaged his car during a fistfight. Steve claims Phil's daughter is an alcoholic and caused the incident.
Okay. Tell me what happened with his car. After he assaulted you, where did he hit you?
In the chest and in the head.
That's pretty much what he says. What happened with his car?
I told him after he did that I was going to call the police, and he needed to leave my property. So we walked to his car. He was screaming and yelling. I was screaming and yelling. I hopped in his car, started it up, started revving the engine up, and just sitting there. As I approached his car and told him that he needed to leave and that I was going to call the police, he put it in gear. I pushed up against his car. I don't know why, but didn't know if he was coming after me or my car or what the deal was. He put it in gear.
So the bottom line is, on that evening, gentlemen, you both lost your tempers.
That's correct.
Mr. Schnabel, that you physically put your hands on the defendant first.
I did.
That you physically put your hands on the defendant first.
I did.
Out of anger.
I did.
And yet you're complaining that he, according to you, put his hands on your car out of that he, according to you, put his hands on your car out of anger, right?
After I'd indicated that I was leaving.
What difference does it make?
Okay.
I mean, you expect a certain amount of compassion as a result of your being very upset. You assaulted him because you were upset that he hadn't taken better care of your daughter, right?
That's correct.
He didn't sue you for assault.
There was some pushing prior to that, so...
No, there wasn't pushing.
That's correct.
You know, even according to your complaint, there wasn't incidental pushing. You lost your temper. While I'm sympathetic because you clearly have a situation in your family that's tragic, but Mr. Schnabel, I'm unsympathetic, sir, with your lawsuit against the defendant. Unsympathetic for whatever damage he caused to your car. Because
you expect him to understand your frustration, which resulted in you really assaulting him. I mean, you told me in your papers. You punched him in the stomach, you said you hit him in the head, and yet even if he got so angry because he was assaulted that he smashed the windshield of your car, which was in movement, clearly.
No, Your Honor, I'm sorry.
It was just sitting there? You were sitting in the car?
I wasn't even in the car yet when he smashed the windshield.
You mean you assaulted him and then he went and hit your car?
That's correct. I was...
Instead of hitting you, he hit your car.
It wasn't because he didn't try, Your Honor.
But you hit him first,
That's
Mr.
correct.
Schnabel.
I did.
All I can tell you, sir, is this. Anger is a much easier emotion for people to live with than sorrow or frustration. It's much easier to be angry with somebody else than it is to internalize within your own family situation. He didn't create the situation with your daughter. According to you, it's been going on for a long time, even before she met him. So it's not his fault. I mean, if it were his fault, they would have been together for years and he would have been an enabler with her. But I don't get that sense. I get the sense you've been having difficulty with her for a long time. He got frustrated finally. Mr. Timmon, what you did wasn't the right thing. You understand that, sir?
I do.
There are certain things that you can do to be protective just as a human being. I understand that you were frustrated. I understand that she had a problem. You had a short-term relationship. You decided it wasn't your problem anymore, right? And you wanted clear of it. But you, just as a human being, you'd really been killed. You would have felt terrible. It's a very unfortunate situation. Really been killed. You would have felt terrible. It's a very unfortunate situation. But Mr. Schnabel, the defendant understood that. I have no countersuit here for assault. He certainly didn't press charges against you for assault, which he could have. The damage to your car was charges against you for assault, which he could have. The damage to your car was $400. That's what the punch is going to cost you, sir. This case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Back to your right, please.
And now the next case.
Parties on Landeros versus James. Step forward, please.
24-year-old Marlo Landeros says her former friend, 23-year-old Latasha James, owes her $240 for a cell phone bill.
Miss Landeros, you claim that the defendant owes you $240 for a cell phone bill.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how that came about.
Okay, Latasha James, she's a former friend of mine in which I met at our previous employment about 5 months ago. And sometime in August, she purchased a cellular phone. I told her that if she knew somebody with the phone, that she could get it connected so it would be cheaper. In a conversation she had one time, she said that the sales rep at the phone company had told her that if she knew somebody with the phone, that she could get it connected so it would be cheaper for her. We took it.
She had the phone. She had bought the phone.
Yes, she purchased the phone. She gave me her phone to take to my phone company and to activate it under our account so she wouldn't have to prepay for her minutes. In other words, when the bill came in, I would tell her how much it was. It would be cheaper for her. And that's why I was doing this favor for her. And when I did it, I let her know. I said, well, I'm on a 1-year contract. I said, they're probably going to put you on a contract also. She gave me $55 just in case of if they did require anything.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
The reason that you asked her to co-sign for you is that you wouldn't have to prepay.
Correct.
Of course I'm correct.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Marlo Landeros is suing Latasha James because she didn't pay for a $240 cell phone bill. Latasha claims she owes much less.
Okay, so you went.
Yes.
And you activated her phone.
That's correct.
And how much did it cost you?
I was required to put down a $50 fee for activation fee.
And she had given you $55.
Yes.
So you
I
had
returned the $5 to her.
She returned the $5.
Yes, she did. Okay. When I went to return the phone to her house that night, I went in and it was a pink paper. And I said, "Here's your phone number." I said, "It's, you know," I said, "You."
So she had a phone number and she had her phone.
Yes, and it was working.
Okay. Correct?
Correct.
Good.
The next time I called her was when the first bill was due, and I called where we used to work. She wasn't there. It was a Friday, and I called her on a Friday because we used to get paid every Friday.
So you called her and you said, bill due.
Yes. Okay.
How much was the bill? Her
$42. Okay.
Did she give you the $42?
Yes, she did. She paid me after the due date. Yes.
Okay.
Arrived early, so I wanted to notify her early because that bill came to $192.
When was the next bill that came in?
Okay, the next bill came in 2 weeks later because the bill arrived early. So I wanted to notify her early because that bill came to $192.27.
Did she pay you the $192.27?
No, she has not paid me the $192.27.
Where do we get to $240?
$240 is the one-year contract that I made, and I did tell her of. And I cut off her phone.
You cut off the phone, but
so it's
there
for the remaining 10 months.
How much a month?
$24 a month.
Well, it's $24 a month, but what about the $192.27?
She hasn't paid me that. She has promised to pay me, but she has not paid me.
How much do you owe the phone company right now on her behalf?
$614.20.
Did you say that you were planning to pay the bills?
Okay, Your Honor, to clarify the whole bill situation. When I got the phone with her, I did give her $55. She did connect my phone for me. She brought my phone to me. She brought me my $5, okay? 2 weeks later, she calls me. I go, how much is the bill? She told me how much it was. When I got the money a couple of days later, she called.
What do you mean when you got the money?
I had to get the money together because I got the message kind of late and I had to pay child care. So I got the money from a family member. 2 weeks later, she calls me again. She goes, the phone bill came in, you owe me $192. And I'm like, okay. I go, I want to see this bill. She goes, okay, you can see the bill. So I'm thinking she's going to bring me the bill the next couple of days, drop it off to me.
Why didn't you go pick it up?
I don't know where she lives at.
Why does she have to come to you to show you your bill for your phone?
Well, I could have got it, but the time I get off work, it's really late at night time. I get off at around almost 9 o'clock at night.
So?
Well, I could have did that.
You didn't, so you owe her this $192.27.
And I don't have a discrepancy with the whole owing her the $192. The discrepancy is the $240. I never received a contract. I never seen a contract. My contract was not a year. Mine was as I paid. I prepaid it. That's how mine was.
You weren't prepaying, madam. The reason that you asked her to co-sign for you is that you wouldn't have to prepay.
Correct.
Of course I'm correct. Right now, it seems to me that you asked this lady, who was really a stranger, to do you a favor, to put your phone on her bill.
Correct.
And if you think that I'm going to allow her to be out one dime.
I'm not saying that she's allowed to be out one dime. I owe her $192.
No, she's going to be billed on her phone for a year's contract for you.
A year's contract that I did not tell her to cancel. She brought me the bill the day it was due. If she would have brought me my bill before then, not the day it was due, and then called me the next day and asked me for money, and my phone is disconnected, I'm only going to pay what I owe. And all I owe her is $192, not $240. I did not tell her to cancel the service.
Miss James, she canceled the service because she was having a lot of aggravation with you.
She didn't have any aggravation with me. She called me on the phone.
I could see that she was having a lot of aggravation because first you tell her the first bill that's a small bill, you tell her
there was never a bill. I asked her for the bills before then. I never seen any bills.
The first time she called and told you what your bill was for $42, you gave her a story that you didn't have the money right away. You just told that to me. You said you had to get it because you had some child care expenses.
Correct, but I was not told that she called.
Just a second. That is not her problem that you have child care expenses.
I never said it was her problem. That's why I made sure she got her money the very next day. That's not the discrepancy here.
No, you didn't give her the money the very next day. You didn't give her the $42 for the first bill the very next day. You know that, and I know that.
It was the next day. She didn't get it the same day when I talked to her.
You didn't give me the money until Friday.
Till Friday? You got the money way before then.
No, I didn't.
Now,
yes,
you know what? I kept a journal of everything.
Well, kept a journal
Miss Landros,
you got the money.
Talk to the judge, please.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Miss Landros.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't believe that this lady is going to pay you the $192.27. I don't believe she's going to pay you that. Because I see that she thinks that she's right. She thinks that you do her a favor, you connect total stranger's bill up to your phone, then you got to keep calling her for the money, then she and worked out the arrangements herself with you right there. Instead, she gave you the phone and said, go ahead and do it.
I was working.
That's not her problem. Since when is she a partner in your misery? Since when is the stranger a partner in your problems? If you were so interested in making sure everything was going to be done just the way you wanted to, you should have said,
She's appointment coordinator, 2 different schedules, lunch hours different.
You always have an excuse for doing
No,
the
I'm
wrong
not making
thing.
an excuse.
You got an excuse for everything.
There is no excuse.
Everything.
I owe her $192.
Well, I'm sure everything was going to be done just the way you wanted to. You should have said,
However, she's appointment coordinator. 2 different schedules. Lunch hours different.
You always have an excuse for doing
No,
the wrong
I'm not making
thing.
an excuse.
You got an excuse for everything.
There is no excuse.
Everything.
I owe her $192.
Well, I'm giving her a judgment for $600. That way she's going to pay for the phone bill that you owe her, as well as the 10 months for the contract that she signed in good faith so that you would have a phone. That's all. Thank you very
Parties are
much.
excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I did not.
All right, this is case number 373 on the calendar in the matter of Davis versus Golden. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir, ma'am.
Mr. Davis, you and Miss Golden had been co-workers, and you claim in your complaint that she purposely keyed your car, scratched it.
Scratched it, yes, ma'am.
She says she didn't do it. So, let me hear about why she would scratch your car. Did you see her scratch your car?
Yes, I have a witness that's seen her scratch my car.
Well, first tell me why you think she would want to scratch your car.
Well, we were co-worker at one time, and Miss Golden is primarily responsible for answering phone and data entry. Her business, as far as with my company, is strictly upfront, answering phones and data entry. She has no business in the back of the warehouse at the particular time when she was seen in the back of our warehouse at all, period.
Why would she want to key your car, sir?
I have no idea. She felt that I had some sort of attitude towards her, which I did not.
What caused you to leave the job?
It was through a temporary assignment, and I got canned because of Fred Davis.
So you were fired because of him?
Yeah.
Why?
We weren't talking previously before I worked there, and as the months went on, he finally, said good morning, because he was the type of person that would walk by you and wouldn't say good morning. He had major attitude. And so one morning he approached me and we began talking, and he would always come up to me and start saying how he needs a real good woman and how he's lonely, and he wants to know if I had any homegirls or friends I could set him up with.
Homegirls?
Yeah, that's what he said. That was his words. Do you have any homegirls that I could set you up with? So finally I introduced him to my friend Bridget, who's a good friend of mine. And they went out at a club, and she can tell you basically what kind of person he was with the attitude. And they didn't get along, so I guess he felt since their relationship didn't work out that I would have some reason to do something.
Well, what makes you think he had you fired?
Because I wrote him a note saying that he had a bad attitude. I would always tell him all the time, you have a bad attitude, maybe that's why you're by yourself. And so I wrote him a note because one morning he wouldn't talk to me when I was asking him. So I wrote a note and said, you have an attitude problem, that's why you're by yourself. And he showed it to my boss.
Did you show this note to your boss?
Yes, ma'am, I did. Here's the note right here.
Why did you show the note to your boss?
I have no idea what her intentions were. She seemed like she was upset about something. I have no idea what that might be. Just so that I don't have any kind of confrontation and everything is out in the open, I took that note and I showed it to her boss. Her boss said, well, we're not happy with her performance, and just hang tight and don't say anything to her. Just leave her completely alone. Don't have any kind of talkings or dealings with her.
And they fired her?
I knew already prior to me leaving that Friday that my assignment was over. So it wasn't like, because I didn't want to be there because it was only part-time, and the agency was finding me more hours.
All right, now this note was written on the 17th of November?
Yes, right around that time, yes.
When was your car keyed?
The 21st of November.
Were you still working there?
Yeah, that was my last day of work, that Friday.
Oh, okay. And you didn't see her key your car?
No, ma'am, I did not.
But you say you have a witness who did see her key your car?
Yes, I do.
Is that witness here?
Yes, he is right here.
Step up, sir. Tell me your name.
My name is Salvador Vasquez.
Mr. Vasquez, do you work at the same place that these people work?
No, I don't.
Where do you work?
I work behind his company. I was around the area on lunchtime. I get off at 11:45 to 12:30, and I saw this lady around the time pacing in the back of his warehouse, like 3 or 4 times, and she decided to walk around to his car, but I didn't see her doing it, but I saw her around there, and then she left.
So, just a second. So you didn't see her do anything except be there?
Be there around his car.
Did you see her do any hand motions, or did you just see her there?
I saw her there. That's it.
I have something.
Yes.
Can you tell me what time he said that happened?
You said it was lunchtime.
Like around, it was around, I get off 11:45, 12:30, but she was around there around 12.
Okay, because at this time I usually go relieve the receptionist from the switchboard from 12 to 1. So I was at the front desk relieving her for lunch when that happened.
Do you have a car parked in that lot?
No, I parked my car in front of the building because they have parking for the employees, and I just decided to park on the street for the whole entire 4 months that I was there.
Had you ever seen her before?
No, that was the first time I saw her there.
How did you identify her?
Well, she was like, her hair, like, you know, like down, tight, and then she was wearing like a sweater and then something black, like a skirt. I was seeing her like looking back and forth, walking around for a while. But
So,
I didn't know what she was looking for.
Did you see her face?
Yeah, I did. But she like, you know, round face, black, you know.
When was the next time you saw her?
No, that was the first and last time I saw her.
Now, if you look at her now, is this the same lady that you saw? Are you positive of that?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Now, I want you to look at her. Are you positive that this is the same lady that you saw?
You don't know.
Just, sir.
Yes.
Very important.
Yes.
As you're standing here today, you're looking at the defendant. Is this the same person that you saw in the parking lot that day?
Yes, ma'am.
You sure about that?
Yes.
And I have, that was on a Friday, which was casual day, so I wouldn't go to work with a skirt and a sweater on. I had on just jeans and a regular old blouse because it was casual day.
How do you remember that?
Because it was the last day of my job. I mean, I was hurt. I remember the day. I have a son to raise. I count all my pennies, believe me.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You have a major attitude, and that was what this was all about. Setting you up with somebody.
Obviously, you can see who's got the attitude.
And later today.
How long did you go out with Mr. Charmer over here?
Not one day.
Not one day? You didn't go out with him at all?
Well, I did, but it was a mistake.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Fred Davis says former co-worker Kendall Golden damaged his BMW after she was fired from her job.
Miss Golden, this man has no axe to grind. He's not a friend. You're not a friend of his, are you?
I'm not.
He's just a civilian witness.
Mm-hmm.
And this clearly, you understand, Mr. Davis, is a case of circumstantial evidence.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
You had the opportunity. Based upon what you've both told me today, you certainly had the inclination because you think he was responsible for getting you fired.
No.
Oh, sure. That you seem to indicate that here, that he, and you indicated that to me.
But that was brought on too by him kept bugging me, constantly
Whatever it was,
asking me.
You thought that he was getting you fired. This was your last day of work. You just told me that you had no reason to be in the back parking lot because you park your car in the front, right? And I have an independent witness who saw you going back and forth in the back parking lot and around
That's
his
not
car.
True. I don't even know where his car was. I don't even, you know. I was at the switchboard. I didn't go outside, but one time to the warehouse.
I'm not so sure about that. Let me see the damage to your car.
Here's the estimate, and here is the pictures of my vehicle.
I mean, I have no reason to do anything like that.
Sure you did.
I do?
Sure you did. You absolutely did, because you were leaving a job. It was your last day.
But I knew already prior to that. No.
Oh, yeah.
I was in good standing with the company. The boss bought me lunch that day. He told me I could use him as a recommendation because I did good work for their company. So I left in good spirits. I got along well with everybody, and that was it. I never got into any altercations at all with anybody there.
I'm going to ask you one more time, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any question in your mind that this is the lady that you saw?
No, no question at all.
No question at all?
No.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,054.12, which is the amount of your estimate.
Thank you.
That's all.
Excuse, you may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
I'm that one to point the finger unless
Yes, you are.
I
You
feel.
have a major attitude, and that was what this was all about. Setting you up with somebody.
Obviously, you can see who's got the attitude.
Well,
I have not said nothing but, stated my case, and that's it.
And now the next case.
Parties on Guerrero versus Monroy. Step forward, please.
18-year-old telemarketer Mayolo Guerrero says his co-worker, 22-year-old David Monroy, assaulted him, breaking his jaw. David Monroy says Mayolo attacked him.
Mr. Guerrero, you claim that the defendant, who was a former co-worker of yours, assaulted you and fractured your jaw. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
He says that he just got in the first punch. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So why don't you start at the beginning, Mr. Guerrero, and tell me what happened?
Well, what all happened is a couple of months ago, the defendant was dating my sister, my twin sister, and they were dating for a couple of months.
Could you speak up, sir?
After a while, she didn't like the way he was treating her, and one night they had a discussion, and she told him that she didn't want to talk to him no more, and she hung up on him. He called back, I guess, later, a couple of minutes later. I guess he was mad. And I picked up the phone, and he said if he could speak with my sister. I replied that she didn't want to speak with him, and it was better if he didn't call no more. So he got mad, and he was pretty good friends with one of the managers of the place where we worked at.
So you both worked in the same place?
Yes, we did.
What kind of work did you do?
For a home improvement company.
What kind of work did you do?
Telemarketing.
Just telemarketing. Just
Marketing?
Yeah, marketing.
On the phone?
Yeah.
Okay. You
And,
call people and try to convince them to have their home improved?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And
that's right.
After that, he was pretty good friends with the manager, the office manager there, and I guess he got mad because of the incident. He got him to lay me off. So I got laid off. After that, I went somewhere else, right? Looked for another job. A week later, I returned to the office to pick up a check for a sale that I had made. And when I finished, talking to the office manager, as I was leaving the office, Mr. Monroy approached me, and he asked me if he could talk with me for a couple of seconds. So I said, yeah, it was fine. We were walking out, and as he was on my left side walking, and all of a sudden we got to a hall, and as we got to the hall, he came behind me, and out of nowhere, he hit me on my right side here. I then fell down. I hit my head against the wall, and then he yelled something about I've never done something about how he never did anything to me, and then he took off. I went to the hospital to see if anything was wrong with it, and they checked it out, and they said it was fractured, and I was in there overnight for 2 days. I couldn't return to work because my jaw was wired shut for 3 weeks.
I'll look at your medical bills in a minute. Okay, so let me hear your version of what happened. Over here.
Well, what happened was that we used to work at a different company before, and then I went to this other company, and I decided to get him a job over there because I was trying to help the guy out, whatever. And I was seeing his sister, but I was seeing other females as well, you know what I'm saying, and I kept that all open. And he didn't like that because he'd hear about my stories and da-da-da. And
No.
And,
not yeah. We're not watching Seinfeld, sir. This is a court.
Yeah.
All right?
I mean,
so,
all right.
No, Mr.
Anyway,
Monroy,
so
Mr.
I let
Monroy,
him know.
try not to speak over me. You were dating his sister.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're saying to me is that at work, when you were working together, you were talking to him about other women that you were dating too.
No, I wasn't. I didn't say that.
Well, what were you
I said I was
saying?
talking about other females, and he overheard me. He heard me, and telling other people that I work with, just my dates or whatever. I just, go out on a date. And anyway, he didn't take that too well, so he would just start talking, bad about me, just saying bad things. You know what I'm saying? Just rude things that,
Let me give me an example.
Just things that piss me off, just whatever, just things, what I'm saying? I can't sit here and tell you, oh, exactly, he said this and that, because I wrote it down, what I'm saying? No, I didn't write it down. I mean, this is what I told him. I said, you keep doing this, coming to my job, because he didn't work there no more. He kept coming back, trying to get his job, and trying to get a job.
No,
So
I'm
what
telling him to be
happened-
quiet. I'm engrossed in your story, Mr. Monroy. So he kept coming back to
Anyway,
try to
he
get
kept
his job.
coming back, harassing me. Okay,
So far, I haven't heard him harass you. All I heard was a lot of yada, yada, yada. So unless you
well,
could be
that's
more
what harassing
specific.
means now. And So then that's what happened. So I took him out. He came by one day.
No,
and I took him
came by
outside.
one day.
I told him I want to talk to you outside because I already had notified him about bringing this kind of problems in my job. You know what I mean? Telling my boss that I smoke whatever and whatever, you know, just causing problems.
Just a second. Do you?
Of course not.
Oh.
I would never.
Never, never.
You know?
Never, never, Mr. Monroy.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
How old are you?
21.
Better change your ways, sir, if you want to live to be 22.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mayolo Guerrero wants his co-worker, David Monroy, to pay the medical bills for breaking his jaw.
So you asked him to step outside with you, right?
Well, basically, yes. I told him to go outside.
And what happened when you got outside?
Well, we just were outside and
No,
we were
over
walking.
here.
Check it out. Okay. Listen, we're outside, okay? We walk outside. He's real paranoid because he already knew I was going to, you know what I mean? So he turns around and I just, did what I do. How else do you want me to put it, Judge? You know what I'm saying?
So you hit him, right?
That's what this is all about.
So you hit him.
Uh-huh.
Boy, I wish I could send him for a blood test right now. Mr. Monroy,
Mm-hmm.
when was the last time you were arrested, sir?
Never been arrested, convicted.
I didn't ask you whether you've ever been convicted, sir.
I told you I've never been arrested or convicted.
Never?
Well, as an adult, no.
Can I see your medical bills, please?
This here was the before one, and this is the after the one that my medical insurance didn't cover.
Mr. Guerrero, your medical bills that were uncovered amounted to $2,433. Is that
That's
right,
right.
sir?
Mm-hmm.
They were uncovered by insurance.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, Mr. Guerrero, you sued for the exact amount of your unreimbursed medical bills. Could you tell me why, sir, you didn't sue him for the pain and suffering? I assume you had some pain and suffering. I'm just curious.
I did. To this point, I just wanted to get the medical bills out of the way. That was my main priority. I didn't really care if I got anything from my pain and suffering or lost wages or anything like that. I just wanted
Are you
to
his
get that.
sister?
Mm-hmm.
Yes is an appropriate answer. Step up here a second. What's your name?
Yolanda Guerrero.
How old are you?
18.
How long did you go out with Mr. Charmer over here?
Not one day.
Not one day? You didn't go out with him at all?
Well, I did, but it was a mistake.
I asked you, how long did you go out with him?
Just for about a month and a half.
Did he ever use drugs in your presence?
Yes, he did.
What kind?
It's not even relevant, though, man.
What kind?
Marijuana.
Anything else?
Not that I remember.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
All right. You say he assaulted you? I don't know what his defense
All of a
is to
sudden,
this.
I was
I don't
high
know.
when I did it, too, huh?
I don't know. I don't know what his defense is. I couldn't figure out from the answer what his defense
There
was.
wasn't no defense, you know what I'm saying? He came to my job where I work at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we fought, so, you know, what can you expect if you're coming, you know what I'm saying? Coming to somebody telling him, oh, you're my sister, da-da-da. You know?
How old are you?
21.
Can I
Better
say
change your
something?
ways, sir, if you want to live to be 22. Listen, it's not a very difficult case. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff for the amount requested, which represents his unreimbursed medical bills, $2,433. That's all.
All right, sir, excuse you may step out. Number 349 on the calendar, the matter of Braun versus Holkeen. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have seats, please.
I've read these papers. Let me see if I understand this. Miss Braun, you lived with the defendant for many years.
Mm-hmm.
Lived in her home.
Yes.
You were friends or friends of one of her children. Is that right?
Yes.
How old were you when you moved into her house?
18.
And how many years did you live there?
Till April 21st of 1996.
And how old were you?
I was 20.
So you lived there for 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
And did you get married? Is that why you left?
Mm-hmm.
According to your papers, there was a time when you allowed the defendant to use your Sears credit card,
Mm-hmm.
I believe on 3 occasions, and the total bill was about $500.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're suing her for.
Yes.
She's quite offended, right?
That's right.
Tell me why.
Well, because of the fact that, you know, I opened my doors for her. You know, she was my daughter's best friend. And so I just figured, you know, and she was an 18, she was 17. I have proof because we had, at the time, we decided that she was going to live under our roof. We were going to give her medical and dental insurance to cover for her braces. I have the enrollment forms from my husband's state insurance.
So you covered her health insurance?
I covered her health insurance, her medical insurance. I paid for her homecoming prom dress that I have pictures of. You know, I didn't ask for anything in return. You know, and for her to have the audacity to come back at me for the $530-some. I did pay her back that. I did pay her in cash. I paid her. I never go without paying a debt. And I never thought that I'd have to have a receipt to carry with me to prove that I have paid her, because, you know, she would call me mother, she would call my husband dad. You know, I loved her as a daughter, and she wasn't really anything to me. And the only reason that I feel that she did this is because of the fact that her mother-in-law was upset because I wouldn't come out and give her money for the wedding expenses when she got married.
So this, you believe, is really over money for her wedding?
Exactly.
Tell me about that.
Well, when back at the time that she was getting her wedding arrangements done, we were going to be getting a settlement. My mother was run over and killed back in '95, and I was waiting for a check to come in. And at the time, I was also on disability. I've had back surgery. And I had offered to help out with the wedding expenses, you know, half of the wedding expenses.
That was very nice of you.
Yes, it was.
Why would you want to do that?
Because I loved her.
You have your own family?
Yes, I do.
You have children of your own?
Yes, I do. I have 2 children at home and a grandson and my husband.
And you volunteered to pay for part of the wedding?
Yes, I did.
And then what happened?
And then when the months went and the money wouldn't be coming in, they were getting very stressful.
What do you mean the money wouldn't be coming
in? The money that was supposed to be coming in for the settlement. And it was getting closer to the wedding. And the mother-in-law was getting very stressful. Where's the money? Where's the money? And I didn't have the money. And what little that I did have, I went ahead and altered her wedding dress. And I had paid for the cleaning. I had paid $100 towards the mariachis. Just little things like that. But never did I ever hear that they had, you know, confronted the mother, the biological mother, for any money. After everything that we've done for her, I just can't understand why she comes around and wants to sue me for $532 when it's over an amount of over $5,000 that we have here in receipts.
Let me just take a look and see, because you have a counterclaim, which you understand.
Yes.
I really can't address, and I'm going to tell you why. Because you never had an agreement with her.
Exactly.
That she was going to repay you for your kindnesses.
Yes.
You gave to her because you wanted to. In order for me to entertain your countersuit, I have to find that there was a contract, even if it was a verbal one, for her to pay you. And there wasn't one.
Exactly.
Okay. So let me take a look at some of these things.
There is the orthodontist bill way at the back. It shows $1,000 paid towards her dental work.
Did she pay $1,000 towards your dental work?
Did she? No, she didn't.
Who
I
did?
have
The
copies
insurance.
right here of everything that I paid for. The contract is in my name. So I don't know what she's talking about.
Oh, did you actually pay for her orthodontic?
My husband's medical insurance paid for that, yes.
Now, when you were there for 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
2.5 years,
Mm-hmm.
were you going to school?
Yes. I paid rent. I paid her $37.50 a week, which added up to $150 a month.
And what did that include?
I didn't have to pay for groceries or anything. The only thing that we had to pay for was shampoo and detergent, stuff that we used.
Okay. So for $150 a month, you covered your rent, your gas, electric, your food, and whatever other incidental expenses that they may have paid for. They took you out to dinner. When family went out to dinner, did you go with them?
Yeah.
And when the family went out to dinner and you went with them,
Were you asked to pay your share? Or
No,
or
sometimes
did
she
they-
would treat, sometimes we would treat. It was never like they paid for everything.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
If you do things for people, then that's out of the kindness of your heart. You don't have to keep a log, oh, I did this, I did this, I did this.
I happen to think you're pretty ungrateful.
And later today,
I don't think he thought anything wrong with the three of you living nicely together. You look like three nice people. You could live nicely together.
Yeah, the Golden Girls do it.
What? The Golden Girls do it? He's cute.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gracie Braun says her best friend's mother, Rita Holguin, used her credit card and never paid her back. Rita says she not only paid her back, but she supported her for over 2 years.
Now tell me about the Sears credit card. Why did you need her Sears credit card?
The time that I used a charge card, it was probably just something that I had to buy, and the money hadn't came in yet, the settlement, and I knew I was going to pay her back. And I specifically remember paying her back because what I do is I put it in a list of who I have to pay, and when I got my settlement, my sister here, she was there when I showed her that I was going to pay Gracie. I entered my daughter's room, and I had the money in my hand. I says, Gracie, would you like for me to go pay the Sears account, or would you do it yourself? She had stated, I'll pay it later, Mom.
Your Honor, I moved out of her house while she was in Hawaii. I went back the night before, and she helped me get the rest of my stuff to take me. I don't know when she came and gave me this money, because I have statements here. She signed her own name on my card, and this one she signed my name. So I don't know if you want to look at these, but she never gave me any money.
But Ms. Braun, tell me about this wedding problem, because that's probably what precipitated this lawsuit. I can't imagine otherwise why you would, after what appears to me to be tremendous kindness by a total stranger to you, you would come into court and sue her for $500.
That wasn't even the thing. I called, I have talked to her on many occasions about this bill. I told her, I cannot afford to pay this anymore because that's not right. You know, she did do a lot of things for me out of the kindness of her heart, which I don't understand why she wants me, or why she's patting herself on the back. If you do things for people, then that's out of the kindness of your heart. You don't have to keep a log, oh, I did this, I did this, I did this.
We're talking about 2.5 or more years of taking care of, really, a total stranger. And there's something else here. I mean, maybe it's about this wedding business. Did you have a big wedding?
Yes, I did.
Did you expect her, was there an arrangement where you expected her to pay for part of the wedding?
I never asked her. She offered.
Offered to pay how much?
For half.
And how much was the wedding?
I don't even know. My mother-in-law paid for everything. She made arrangements to pay for the whole thing. She offered to pay for half, so she started adding in, oh, let's have mariachis, let's do this, let's do that, because she was going to pay for half.
Right.
Well, 2 weeks before the wedding, she started saying, I can't pay for this, I can't pay for that, I can't pay for this. I never said anything to her about it. That was never an issue with me.
Were you angry? Was your mother-in-law angry?
No.
And I don't understand why you're suing her.
Because it's money that she charged on my bill. I don't think that I should have to pay that.
And you say you paid her when she came back into the house?
I paid her when I got my settlement. As you can see, I have papers there where I got our check in '96. It was in March of '96 we got a check for $18,000.
How could you pay me in March when you didn't charge till the 2nd of March and the April 18th and 19th? How did you pay me?
Ms. Braun.
Anyway,
I don't understand why you're so angry with her.
It's frustrating.
Why is it frustrating?
She's saying she paid me for something she hadn't even charged yet.
No, she said she got her settlement at that time, so she knew she had the
That's when
money.
she paid me, in March. She hadn't even charged anything in March until March 2nd and April 18th and 19th.
Ms. Braun, I don't know why you're so angry with this lady. It's not what she said. She said she had the money because she got the settlement in March.
Then she should have paid me the money she owed me.
I'm not satisfied that she didn't pay you the money. I happen to think you're pretty ungrateful.
She is.
She says she paid you. Anybody who takes a total stranger into their house, treats her like one of their own for 2.5 years, when their own mother is not taking care of her, takes care of putting her on their insurance so that at least she has the opportunity of having her teeth fixed, so that she does have medical insurance, even if it's just another $20 a week that's taken out of this man's paycheck to ensure that you are covered by insurance. She fed you. She provided a roof over your head.
Right.
She treated you like a member of the family.
That's right.
So that means she's a pretty good person. And that means this pretty good person is telling me I paid her
I have to believe a nice person like Miss Holquin would not lie to me about paying you back. So your lawsuit's dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She burned the bridge that she walked on. You know, she doesn't have a family now. You know, she has nobody.
I have a family.
Oh, yeah. All right. That's right.
You guys used her.
Thank you that the knight in shining armor came and took you
away. Good.
And now the next case.
Parties on Taylor versus Guillaume. Step forward, please.
50-year-old Hallie Taylor is suing 46-year-old bus driver Patricia Guillaume because of emotional distress while they both lived in the home of a former boyfriend named Lee Coleman. Patricia is countersuing for malicious prosecution.
Well, this is a very unusual complaint and countersuit. You're Lee?
Yes.
The cause of all the trouble. According to these papers, Miss Taylor, you unfortunately became homeless.
Yes.
Lee was a friend of yours.
Yes.
At first, he said that you could sleep in your car in his driveway.
Yes.
But then said, why don't you move into the house? Is
Yes.
that right?
Yes.
Just to be kind.
Yes.
Shortly thereafter, Lee over here extends an invitation to this young lady to also come to the house, to rent a room. Is that right?
Yes.
No, that's reverse. That's reverse. That's not. Pat was already there.
This is Pat.
Right.
Lee, you want to step up here? Don't talk to me sitting.
Okay.
I like when you stand when you talk to me. So come
Okay.
on up here. She was already living there when you invited Miss Taylor to come in to the house?
Yes.
For how long?
Oh, I was still moving my things in. And when I had gotten the last of my belongings in, then he had informed me that she was going to be living there.
Bottom line is, at about the same moment, these two women came into your house.
That's not true.
Within days of each other?
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
sit down. Within days, you both found yourself living with Lee. You had no idea she was going to be there, and you had no idea she was going to be there.
Yes, I knew she was going to be there because he had already had rented her the room.
But she wasn't living there already?
No.
Okay. And the two of you didn't get along?
No.
You two?
Yes.
And you say because you didn't get along, she caused you all kinds of stress, high blood pressure, hypertension, and you wanted to pay you $5,000.
Yes.
And you are suing her for malicious prosecution.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
She's saying another thing. If I want to F Lee, I wouldn't wait till you leave. I'll F him while you here.
Lee! Having two women live in your home is not a good idea.
I don't know that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 50-year-old Hallie Taylor is suing 46-year-old bus driver Patricia Guillaume because of emotional distress while they both lived in the home of a former boyfriend named Lee Coleman. Patricia is countersuing for malicious prosecution.
All right, this is not going to take very long, Miss Taylor. Tell me how she caused you stress.
From day one, Pat aggravated me. She antagonized me.
Give me an example.
There are two incidents that took place. The first incident took place in the garage. We were in the garage talking. Lee, Pat. First was Lee and Pat. And then all of a sudden, and she said, your girlfriend. And I was standing over there by the back of his truck. And she rushed over there to me and got in my face and she said, don't you use my bathroom. Incident number two, she stated she wanted to have a talk face to face. Lee got us together with Lee present. We started talking. She did the talking first. She says, I don't like you. She said, I think you're nasty. I think you're a liar. I think you're a con woman. And I think you're not trustworthy. I said, well, Pat, I don't see how you can make this, all these consumptions about me. You don't know me for about 2 weeks. And then when she finished, I said, you finished saying what you have to say? So then I said what I had to say.
Well, what did you say?
I said, well, Pat, I can't help if you don't like me. But the things that you were saying about me is not true. That's not me. Okay. And before I said something else, and she said another thing. If I want to F Lee, I wouldn't wait till you leave. I'll F him while you here. And I said, well, go ahead.
That's honest.
Go ahead. I mean, you know, I care less.
Okay.
And then she walked over to me and she rushed up in my face. I mean, she was so close, I felt the breath, her warm breath from her mouth.
What'd she say?
And her left breath touching my left shoulder. And then Lee saw that the conversation wasn't going anywhere, so he stepped in between us.
So those are the 2 incidents that you're complaining about?
Yes, and each incident I went to the hospital.
Miss Taylor, those were 2 what we call conversations. Not worthy of a lawsuit. She didn't hit you. She didn't threaten you.
Oh, yes, she did.
No, not in the 2 instances you told me.
Yeah,
it's not a lawsuit.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
All right. Countersuit. What are you countersuing her for?
Well, this whole thing, it annoyed me. It annoyed me because
Miss Guillaume, this whole thing annoys me. Let me tell you something. It's late. And I'm getting annoyed.
What had happened, once I had picked up the suit, I had sued Lee, Mr. Coleman, and...
What'd you sue him for?
I wanted my money back.
You mean the money that you gave him for your apartment?
Yes, what had happened...
Did you get it?
Yes, I did.
You did? Good. Well, that's good. You don't... Lee! Having 2 women live in your home is not a good idea.
I don't know that.
Miss Taylor, Miss Guillaume, this is not a case that belongs in court. This gentleman made a very bad judgment. He was probably trying to be a good guy. This gentleman made a very bad judgment. He was probably trying to be a good guy. I don't think he was trying to be bad. I think he was a friend of yours. He was trying to help you out. I don't think he thought anything wrong with the 3 of you living nicely together. You look like 3 nice people. You could live nicely together.
Yeah, the Golden Girls do it.
What? The Golden Girls do it? He's cute. All right. He's cute. All right. Go have a nice day. Lawsuit and the countersuit are dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step. 7 on the calendar in the matter of Martin versus Jones. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Martin, Mr. Jones, according to your papers, lives in your neighborhood.
Yes.
And he assaulted you in April of 1997.
Correct.
Tell me what happened, sir.
Do you want me to start with the event that precipitated the attack?
I think that's probably a good
one
place
evening,
to start.
I was watching television. I heard noises, and then I heard horn honks, and I started looking out my window. It's very dark. The street dead ends into the ocean, into the boardwalk. And I'd hear a horn honk, and I'd look down, and for a period of about 30 minutes, I would see a lighted match, and this gentleman bent over the steering wheel, and I didn't know whether somebody was trying to hotwire an automobile. The intermittent honks, does he have an accomplice? Is there something going on with a robbery? I didn't know. Finally, I decided that I'd better call the police. I didn't call 911. I called the police number and asked for an investigation. The police came out. He was crunched into the shrubbery and parked illegally up over the curb, and they gave him a drunk test, arrested him, and took him away in handcuffs.
Did you see the face of the person at the time you called the police?
No, I didn't have any idea. It was too dark. I had no idea. It was a new truck. I've lived in that neighborhood 39 years. I'd never seen the truck before. I couldn't tell who was in the car.
Now, Mr. Jones, were you arrested on that evening?
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
And was the arrest for being intoxicated and in a truck?
Driving under the influence, though the truck was parked in a driveway.
So far his story is correct. Is that right?
Pretty much so.
And did you find out who it was that had called the police?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so what happened next, sir?
About, it was on the night of April 18, sometime in the middle of the evening, this fellow came to my door and started cursing me and threatened to kill me. I slammed the door in his face and went into my home and called the police and told them what had happened. That I was a witness, which I was a reluctant witness to let the police use my name in the first place. Now I have this fellow on my back and I need some help.
Okay.
They said to call him if there was any trouble there nearby. They came and asked if I knew where he lived, and I knew he lived in the alley in an apartment nearby. So the police officers went back to locate him. They couldn't locate him according to the police report, and I have the copy of the police report here. His truck was illegally parked. A sergeant came and they opted to tow the truck away. When he appeared on the scene, he started using vulgar language, calling the police officers four-letter words beginning with an F at least 10 times, according to the report. And they left. I walked down.
They left with his truck?
No, yes, they towed the truck. So I went back up and started watching television and kind of fell asleep. There was a banging on my door. I answered the door. He grabbed me, punched me, and knocked me through a plate glass window. And we had a fight in the street that lasted 5 or 10 minutes. My neighbors called the police. They arrived, and by this time I had him down, pounding him pretty good on the ground, and they restrained me, picked him up, put him in handcuffs, and took him to jail.
So what kind of injuries did you sustain as a result of this, sir?
Well, I have, if I may, these are the photos the police took.
And I'd like to see the police report as well.
Here's the police, and I've highlighted some of the statements. In addition, I had Charlie Horse, a sprained knee.
How old are you, sir?
I'll be 70 in September.
All right, Mr. Jones, let's cut to the chase. The first time you were arrested, you found out who it was. You were pretty angry. I assume you were pretty angry. And the second time your car was towed, you went to his house. Is that right?
I went to his house the week following the DUI. And yes, I was upset because I was not driving. But that's
not his
beside
fault.
the point.
That's not his fault. So what did you go to his house for?
Because he had called the police, and he gave them reports that are not accurate, not true.
Like what, Mr. Jones?
The crashing, the banging, the horn honking. Just not true.
Oh, how would you know that if you had been drinking?
I was not oblivious, Your Honor.
Good. You were angry, Mr. Jones, at the wrong person. The person you should have been angry at is yourself. You live in a different building, correct?
Correct.
But you went to his house.
Yes, I did.
Why did you go to his house?
I had never seen the man. I had never confronted him with his comments that he makes to me and other neighbors.
Don't tell me about other neighbors.
Okay. He is correct. He slammed the door in my face, and I went home. I'm in bed, and I hear a commotion out in back, and yes, my truck is being towed. And there's no doubt in my mind that he called the police.
Okay.
You know?
So you came out of the
When
house?
I went to his house, he slams the door. To me, that was the end of story. I go home, go to bed. And yes, now I'm upset.
Well,
And
you went to his house. You just didn't go into his house. You knocked at the
I'm
door of his house, and you
knocked
must have
on the
said
door.
something to him. What did you say to him?
That I wanted to talk to him as to why he was doing these things.
In a nice, quiet tone of
I
voice.
probably wasn't quiet, but I was
Probably
not belligerent.
So he slammed the door.
Yes, he did.
And so you went home and went to sleep.
I was in bed, yes.
And your truck was again
parked illegally.
Questionable.
According to the police, it was
According to the
parked
police.
illegally. So they came out and they were towing your truck, which woke you up.
Yes.
And what did you do?
I watched it being towed away, and I went over to Mr. Martin's house again. Knocked
This
on.
time you must have been really angry because you went over the first time a little bit angry. The second time you were smoking.
I was angry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You pled no contest, sir, which means you were found guilty. So if you don't remember that, sir, I suggest you better stop drinking because your brain is getting fried.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 69-year-old Carl Martin claims 35-year-old Michael Jones knocked him through a plate glass window after Carl had him arrested. He's suing for damage and medical bills.
So what did you do when you went over to him, Mr. Jones?
When I was knocking on his door,
At what time
it's
was
like
this?
the man had baited
As-
me because he did not come out of the house. He came down the sidewalk bellowing, "You son of a bitch."
Why do
Now, I don't know the man. I have no idea of his age. I know that I was being threatened by this person coming down the sidewalk at me.
What were you doing at his house, sir?
Do I not have some type of a justification to find out why this person is doing these things to me?
Uh-huh. Now, you were arrested, Mr. Jones, is that right?
Yes, I was.
Bail posted?
Acquitted.
Bail posted.
Yes.
Did you go to trial?
Yes.
Was there a trial?
Yes, there was.
And you were found not guilty.
Correct.
Is that right, Mr. Martin?
I'm not aware of that. I have a statement here that he was ordered to pay restitution for damages, but...
Let me see. Just a second. When you say you're not aware of that, Mr. Martin, that's very interesting to me, sir.
Well, I wasn't aware of the decision by the police. I was angry that he was released.
What I'm asking you, Mr. Martin, is did you go and testify at a trial?
No, I did not. I was not invited.
You did not go
I
to
did not.
testify at
I
a
did
trial.
not.
Well, you can't have a trial, Mr. Jones, unless the complainant is there to testify. So how did you have a trial without him?
To my knowledge, I don't know his exact words, but what he told the judge was because of the history, prior history.
If you don't know what the exact words were, sir,
In
then you
effect-
don't know. Say, listen,
in
sometimes
effect, he
that's
called
hard
us-
for people to say, I don't know.
In effect, he called us mutual combatants.
Okay. Now, you said there was a trial and you were
Arraignment.
acquitted.
Arraignment.
You said there was a trial and you were acquitted, so that was a falsehood. There was no trial because at a trial you have a complaining witness. And since there was no complaining witness, you didn't have a trial. So you had something else.
Well, I'm not sure what it is, Your Honor. You have to forgive me.
You
I'm
are an
not,
intelligent man, Mr. Jones, I think.
familiar with the judicial.
My 9-year-old grandson knows the difference between a trial and not a trial. Mr. Jones.
Yes.
This is addressed to the plaintiff. And it says you, Michael Charles Jones. That's you, right?
Correct.
It says the above named person has been ordered to pay restitution to you for the damages incurred to your property in the crime of which he or she has been convicted. A hearing in this regard has been set in the Long Beach Municipal Court on September 19th, 1997, in Department J. Now, I assume, sir, that you appeared in that proceeding on September 19th, 1997.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And what happened?
It was dismissed because there was no conviction of the crime.
Could I see the paper that you have?
This is just a letter stating that I don't have the disposition of the court cases. But the judge at that hearing determined there was no grounds for restitution if I was not convicted of anything.
Mr. Jones, are you serious with me, sir?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Are you really serious with me?
I'm very serious.
Uh-huh. Let me explain something to you. The prosecuting attorney indicates that you, A, pled guilty to driving under the influence of alcohol.
Correct.
And that you were to appear in court on September 19th for a damages hearing.
And I was there, Your Honor.
And
Mr. Martin was not there.
he doesn't have to be there.
I don't know.
He doesn't have to be there.
Okay.
And the case was not dismissed. Mr. Jones, case could not have been dismissed.
Your Honor, it was dismissed.
Well, let's go find out. You want me to go find? You had a lawyer in that case?
Yes, I did.
What's your lawyer's name? Let me have
It's on that paper.
Joette something or other?
Courier, yes.
Let's go see. Now, I do have your permission to speak to this lawyer, don't I, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I think people like this should be handled in a way to see that they don't repeat this sort of an attack on a
You are
citizen.
one malevolent, mean-spirited, delusional character. You know that?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Retired school principal Carl Martin fought with his neighbor, Michael Jones. Carl wants his medical bills plus pain and suffering.
Yes, Miss Courier, this is Judge Scheindlin. I'm calling with regard to a client of yours, Michael Charles Jones, who is currently a litigant before me in a civil action stemming from a representation that you gave him some 8 or 9 months ago. Are you familiar with him? He is appearing before my court today in civil action brought by Mr. Martin. I have his permission to speak with you. If you want me to verify that, I will. Now, he has given me permission because there is an issue involving the disposition of the assault case with regard to Mr. Martin, and I have letters from the prosecuting attorney, and I opted to call you prior to calling him because I figured you would have this easily at your disposal. I have a letter here dated the 23rd of May from the prosecuting attorney, C. Raymond George, which indicates that Mr. Jones had been convicted, I assume on a plea or a no contest. Now, that's the issue. Can you resolve that for me? Was there a plea? Was there a negotiated disposition? And what was it? Sure, absolutely. Good. You're much more organized than most lawyers, if you can find the file so fast. How long will it take you to look it up? And all I really need is just the disposition on this particular assault case where the plaintiff was Carl Martin. Okay, will do. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Order. Step back up, please.
Mr. Jones, your file is so thick, your lawyer needs 15 minutes to find the right case. And then I'm going to call her back so that she can give me the disposition on this particular case, which you say you were found not guilty on.
The files were so convoluted between the two charges of the DUI and the assault. They mixed them all together, and yes, it's very difficult to sort anything out.
These two files between the DUI and the assault case
They
were not
all came under the same case number.
They're not the only files she has to look through of yours, sir. Right?
That is true, Your Honor.
Right. You've got a big file, Mr. Jones.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Yes, Miss Courier, please. Hi. Well, did you find it? Did he pay the fine? You don't know. Okay, so the... Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you for your help. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Order. Resume your places, please.
Now, Mr. Jones, your lawyer is lovely. You pled no contest, sir, which means you were found guilty.
because the judge explained to you at that time that a plea of no contest was exactly the same as a plea of guilty. There would be a conviction. Your sentence was suspended on condition that you pay $300 in fines on this case. So if you don't remember that, sir, I suggest you better stop drinking because your brain is getting fried. Plea of no contest is just like you pled guilty or went to trial and were found guilty. That's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That means, sir, that in this civil proceeding, where the quantum of proof is a lot less than beyond a reasonable doubt, you owe him the money. The only issue is, how much do you owe him? Let me see those pictures again.
You want to see my bills also?
I'm not interested in your bills.
This
You wouldn't
was
have
not a
any bills.
one-sided
You wouldn't have
event.
any bills, sir. You wouldn't have any bills. Put your hand down. You're winning. Be quiet. You wouldn't have any bills if you stayed in your bed. That's why you pled guilty. So
I'm not
looking
going to
at
argue
these.
that point, Your Honor. That is totally incorrect.
Listen to me, sir. Then I suggest you go back to your lawyer and tell your lawyer that you made a big mistake by pleading no contest. Because right now, that's what you have. You have a plea, you have a sentence that was suspended, and you have a fine that you were supposed to have paid, which I assume you paid, of $300. That's to the court. The issue of damages to the plaintiff was never addressed. So I'm looking at this gentleman's face. And this face is worth, sir, exactly what you're suing for, which is $5,000. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Case number 113 on the calendar in the matter of Stavros versus Cahill. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Mr. Stavros, your lawsuit is about an assault.
Yes.
You claim that the defendant assaulted you.
Yes.
You want $2,500 for that assault.
That's what I was asking for, only because I didn't know what the total of the damages was at the time.
Mr. Cahill, what I understand is Mr. Stavros lives with your former wife.
Yes, he does.
And you have 2 children.
Yes, I do.
And you have joint custody, shared custody with your
Yes, we
wife
have
with
joint
regard to the
physical
2
custody.
children. How long have you been living with his former wife?
Approximately a year.
Some problems arose, according to these papers that I've read, where Mr. Cahill believed that you, sir, were corporally punishing one of his children.
Yes.
Is that how this started?
Yes, ma'am.
So, why don't you tell me about it, sir?
In the beginning of May, my son had been telling my mother that Tom had been spanking him.
That's you. Step up, please.
He...
Just shh. How old's the child?
My Robert is 5.
The boy is 5.
6 now.
Okay, and you had a conversation with him? And what did he tell you about this?
He said that whenever he gets punished, Tom makes him pull his pants down and then he hits him.
On the rear end? With what?
He didn't tell me with what because he started crying.
Did you see any marks on the child?
No, I didn't see any marks on the child.
Okay.
Then I told my son.
So what happened, Mr. Cahill?
So, I talked to my son about it. He began crying to me. He told me he didn't want to tell me because he was scared. He was embarrassed. And he said every time he got in trouble, Tom would make him stick his butt up in the air and he would spank him. I wasn't so much in fear of real physical abuse, but it was creating a scar on him. He was scared to go back. He always telling me he didn't like Tom, and he didn't like being punished like that. I don't punish my son like that.
Mr. Stavros, do you discipline the child by having him take his pants down and you swat him on the behind?
No, no taking the pants down.
So, but you swat him on the behind?
Yes.
With what?
My hand.
Okay. And that's when his mother isn't around?
No, his mom's there.
Okay, does his mom discipline him the same way?
Actually, I'm the disciplinary in the house, just only because I just do it better. I mean, first there's a warning, then it's usually if he's lying or if it's basically, I say you're going to get spanked if you continually lie, cheat, or steal, or if he's endangering himself. That's basically the only reason why he would get spanked.
Mr. Stavros, how old are you, sir?
38?
Have you been married?
No.
Do you have any children?
No.
Biological children?
No.
Before I get into this altercation that took place, sir, I'm going to tell you that I think it's a very bad idea for you to discipline these children.
We've after this incident, we discussed it with a therapist, and he thought it was also.
A bad idea?
Yes.
For you to discipline the children?
Right.
See how smart I am?
Right. But
Do you want to know why, Mr. Stavros? When loving parents discipline their children, if they're doing the right thing as parents, even if they corporally punish them by giving them a swat on the rear end,
right,
which
it is
most people grew up with, who are 40 and over, grew up with being swatted on the rear end by their parents. I know there's a lot of debate about that now, but that's not excessive corporal punishment. But the difference, Mr. Stavros, is when a parent does it, it's usually accompanied by a measure of loving.
Right.
And a child can relate to their biological parent disciplining them that way. You, sir, at this point in this 6-year-old's life, are an intruder.
I agree.
He came into the house when he was 5 years old. He probably misses his father terribly. He probably misses the fact that his parents aren't together. Right. There you are, you show up, and all of a sudden, after a relatively short period of time, you're whacking him on the behind and his mother is not. So it's not a good idea. He got angry. Mr. Cahill, understandable. So what did you do?
So I called and I left a message on the machine that if she didn't call me back about the situation, I was going to be reluctant and not bring the children back this weekend. About an hour and a half later, Beth called me back. She was upset about me saying I wouldn't bring the children back. That's understandable. We got into it on the phone, and Tom took the phone away and started threatening me. And he said he was going to come over and take care of it there. He told me to meet himself someplace first, and I told him no. He said he knew where I lived, so he was going to come over. And he did.
What happened when you got there, sir?
Beth was concerned.
Don't tell me about Beth and her concern.
Well,
you went over there with Beth.
With Beth. Beth
What time did you go over there?
When he called.
What time?
It's 1 o'clock in the morning.
So you and your girlfriend went over at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Now, you understand, it wasn't for his sake. It was for the child's sake, because Beth was, I woke up and I heard Beth pleading on the telephone, please, I love the children, don't keep them away from me and like that. And then I put it on speakerphone. So she's still on the phone. I didn't take the phone away from her. And in the background, I hear Robert crying.
Robert was asleep, Your Honor. So.
Yeah. I hear Robert crying.
So?
And Beth hears Robert crying. And she's wondering why he's up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and why is he calling our house at 1 o'clock in the morning, and what's going on? I mean, she has a serious concern. So that's why we went over there.
Well, Mr. Stavros, that was your second mistake. Your first mistake was to discipline this 6-year-old boy,
I realized
5-year-old boy. Your second mistake was nothing is accomplished at 1 o'clock in the morning.
When I woke up...
Hindsight is 20/20, sir.
Exactly.
But I'm telling you, it's a mistake to go over there. It was your mistake. You were hot at the moment, so you called. Because whatever discussion that you wanted to have with her could have waited until 9 o'clock the following morning.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right?
Yes, Your Honor, I agree.
So you were hot. You react to that by going over there at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Not smart.
Not smart. And I didn't even think of that until it was over.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Beth comes, Mr. Stavros, with baggage. She comes with 2 children. Yes, it would be simpler for you without it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bobby Cahill, the former husband of Beth and the father of their child, denies he assaulted Beth's new boyfriend, Tom Stavros. He says Stavros threatened his son.
So you went over there with Beth. It's 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
She's upset. You love her. You're upset.
Right.
Right? Where is she today?
She's at work. She started a new job, and she really didn't want to miss work, just starting her new job.
That doesn't sound like a legitimate excuse for not being here, sir.
Well, you know.
So she's not here, which is difficult, but
Right.
I'm getting the gist of this case. So you went over there with Beth, you pull up in front of the house, and what happens?
I see the family on the lawn.
Which family?
Everyone that you see here, with the sister.
Okay.
And Robert and the kids. Robert's there. I pull up. I don't park or anything. I just stop right there in the middle of the street. And Beth gets out of the car and goes to Robert. I get out of the truck. I'm standing by the front of the truck in the street. I see Bobby has some black gloves on and he has a basketball in his hands. I just go, well, you know, Bobby's, I don't want any part of this. I don't want to fight. I don't want anything to do with this. I know he has a tendency to hit people. I'm just going to stay right here by the truck. Bobby's brother shows up and gets behind Robert here. And Robert turns around and looks at his brother and turns around and looks at me and then throws the basketball at me and comes running and hits me in the head.
What hits you in the head, the ball or him?
The ball hit me, and then he hit me with his fist in the head.
Who hit you?
Robert. So little Robert comes running into the street with his hands up in the air, just no, 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 like this. I see the little kid there. I see this guy walking towards me, and then
He's already gotten to you, according to your story. He's already gotten to you and hit you.
Yeah, he did. But then, you know, I moved.
Go ahead.
I moved away. And then Beth comes and gets little Robert, takes him into the house. And he comes flying at me again, and I just step to the side. I start walking forward after he's behind me, and I face his brother. And his brother just doesn't, you know, stays on the side, doesn't want anything to do with it. And so I walked right towards the truck and get in the truck and lock the doors. And now I'm sitting in the truck.
You've been hit once with a basketball and punched once in the head.
In the head.
By him.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Cahill, tell me your version of these events, sir.
Your Honor, the only thing true about it is he drove up and stopped in the middle of the street. He came out. My wife stayed in the car. My son was asleep. I don't normally keep my son up past 9 o'clock on a Friday night.
Just tell me what happened, sir, not what you
He
normally
came
do.
out of the truck and he came at me and charged me. He swung at me once and I defended myself. That's the worst thing that I did. My mother called the police that evening. This incident happened before 1 o'clock. The police came out. They asked me what I wanted to do about it because he had no business coming to my house. I told him I wanted to just send him home. He called me 2 days later threatening to take it out on my son. I taped the conversation.
I'd like to hear that.
There's a lot of expletives on it.
I've heard everything, sir. Can I hear it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you'll be singing a different tune after Robert gets back after this week. And then if it doesn't change this week, it might change the next week. Maybe the week after that.
Why would you want to take it out on a 6-year-old?
I'm not taking him out. Because...
Why would you want to take it out on him?
Because I can. How's that? You don't go around hitting me ever. You don't go around hitting
Tom, you
ever.
told me that.
You don't ever hit anybody, ever. Do you understand that? You have no right to swing your fist, and I'm going to make you pay. And if Robert brings you here, that's what's going to do it.
Tom, I was just there to defend myself.
Come over here by yourself. Just come over here. Robert, you, Mr. Cahill, are going to be not happy. Promise. It's a promise from me to you. Okay, 1 o'clock, La Salsa in La Mesa.
All right, well, I need to talk to Betsy.
No more talking to Beth.
Sit there and listen.
Sorry, buddy.
Tom, don't touch him.
You. You. I can't wait till 1 o'clock. From 1 o'clock on, you're paying.
Okay. Whatever you have to say.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Beth Cahill's new boyfriend, Tom Stavros, says Beth's ex-husband assaulted him in a fight over Beth's son.
Mr. Stavros, Do you realize that on that tape, you threatened Mr. Cahill's then 5-year-old child
Right.
with retribution because you had had a fight with his father?
There was a part to the tape that, okay, I'd been given Robert many privileges just because I want to, because I want the child to have a good childhood, okay? And when I was saying, I don't know why it's missing, but I had said at one point that, you know, why should I be giving him all these privileges?
That's not what you said.
I
on the
realize
tape.
that, Your Honor.
What you said on the tape was a threat, not even a very veiled threat, to hurt Mr. Cahill's child.
No, sir. No, ma'am.
But that's what it said, sir.
Okay.
You understand that that's what the tape says. The tape is your voice, angry, and what you're saying to him, what you said to him was, wait till the kid gets home.
Right.
Wait till the kid gets home. I can't wait till 1 o'clock till the kid gets home.
Well, what I'm implying is that all these privileges that, or the way things have been, is not going to be the same anymore.
That's, sir, that may have been what was in your head.
And,
that's not what a parent is hearing when he hears this, sir, on the tape.
Also, when he is saying that he is afraid of you, I'm saying he should be afraid. But he should be afraid after everything that's gone on. I would be afraid. Not that he should be afraid of me.
He's 5. I'm going to ask you one other question.
And
I'm going to ask you one other question, Mr. Stavros. Why were you so angry? You were so angry because, according to you, he hit you. Is that right?
Yeah.
You hit his child.
Your Honor.
Not once, more than once.
I had permission to.
Not from him.
And,
Just a minute.
Right.
Not from him.
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't have permission from him to hit his child. How old are you, sir?
I'm 36 years old.
You're 38. He's 36. You want to fight and batter each other? That's your business, right?
I don't want to.
He's talking about hitting a 5-year-old child. His 5-year-old child.
Hitting and spanking are different things.
Hitting it, sir. To him, hitting his child is no different from him taking a basketball and throwing it at you.
Your Honor,
or
he could have told me about that.
Mr. Stavros, you had no business going over to his house at 1 o'clock in the morning. Absolutely no business going to his house at 1 o'clock in the morning. Because at 1 o'clock in the morning, there was going to be an altercation. What did you think was going to happen there at 1 o'clock in the morning? You think that you and your girlfriend were going to drive up to the house, and she was going to knock at the door, and she was going to say, I'd like the children, please. And Mr. Cahill was going to say, fine, I'll go wake them up and give them to you.
No, they were
Well,
awake.
what did you anticipate was going to happen at 1 o'clock in the morning?
I anticipated Bobby, me, Beth, Robert, everybody standing around in a circle just going, okay. That's what I was anticipating.
Well, I don't know what land you live in, sir.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong, Robert?
What's wrong with it? Am I beating you? Absolutely nothing, sir. Nothing is wrong with 9 o'clock the next morning.
Why can't we ask Robert?
Your girlfriend calling Mr. Cahill and saying, look, let's try to resolve this. We want to come over and sit and talk.
We could have done it then.
Yes, you could have done it then. And you were told not only by me, but you were also told by a therapist that you have no business putting your hands on this child.
After the fact.
Yeah, but that's what made it mad. So what? So you were told afterwards you were wrong?
Your Honor, it was my house. Beth wasn't doing anything about it. And after the lying and the lying and the lying, and he got spanked the first time, we didn't have any more lying anymore.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
I want to tell you something, Mr. Stavros. I don't know whether you're still with Beth. I assume that you are. I assume that you are. And I assume that if Beth is a loving mother, and I assume that you believe she is.
I do believe she is, Your Honor.
And that she loves her children, even your mother. She loves her children? Well, she better, sir, take you to parenting classes.
We've been going.
Big time.
We have been going ever since this happened.
Because you are disciplining this child out of anger.
No,
Oh, yes, because you say she wasn't doing it, you took over. And Beth comes, Mr. Stavros, with baggage. Hey, stop interrupting me. Beth comes with baggage. She comes with 2 children.
Yes,
it would be simpler for you without it. But Beth comes with 2 children. They are 2 children, however, who have a father.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? They have 2 kids. They got a father and they got a mother. Mother doesn't hit him. Father doesn't hit him. You hit him.
Ma'am, He hits him. He spanks him. Guarantee it. She has taken.
No, that's not
I
true.
have.
I don't hit
I have information completely
That's not
alternate. This is a letter from Beth, but that's not.
I'm not
what
going to hear it. If Beth wanted to tell
This
me
is
something, she would be here.
an insight to the family history that was written down by Beth and her lawyer before any of this.
Listen to me, sir. If Beth chose not to be here today, it means that she was very wise and didn't want to get into an altercation with her former husband who shares custody with her of the children because it's not in the children's best interest. She probably couldn't stop you from filing your lawsuit, but I, sir, can stop you from getting any money. This case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
On the next
Your Honor, this is case number 183 on the calendar in the matter of Lucio versus Cole. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mrs. Lucio, is this your husband?
Yes.
Why don't you have a seat, sir? And you are Dr. Cole.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Lucio, you are suing Dr. Cole because you say that he performed a breast augmentation procedure for you and you were not satisfied with the result.
That's correct, Your Honor.
I gather from your complaint that this was not the first time that you had a breast augmentation procedure.
That's correct.
When was the first time that you had the procedure done?
It was in 1992.
What happened with that procedure?
It was fine.
So why are you doing it again?
For larger breasts.
Why?
It's what I wanted.
If you had the procedure done in 1992 and you said it was fine, what changed in the last 4 or 5 years?
I just thought that I would prefer larger breasts. I had breastfed my children, and I was at a certain size. And with age, my figure had changed, and that I wanted it more in proportion.
And are you telling me that you were totally satisfied with the procedure that was done in 1992?
Yes.
Well, let me make sure. Didn't you tell me in your complaint that your breast size was different? One was heavier than the other?
That was before any surgery.
And after the 1992 surgery, both breasts were exactly the same?
Pretty much. It was from a different doctor.
I know it was from a different doctor. What do you mean, pretty much?
It was to my satisfaction, yes.
Okay. And then you consulted Dr. Cole.
That's correct.
Why didn't you go back to the doctor that you consulted in 1992 and who did the surgery in 1992?
He had moved.
Okay. Moved to another city, another...
I just couldn't find him. He had moved. He had moved from an area he wasn't... I couldn't find him. I couldn't locate him.
Did you try?
I had went to him when I had a problem with some pain, and I had went back to his office, and they were doing some remodeling around that area. And also I had had a girlfriend that gave me some information on Dr. Cole, and I had seen his work on some lip surgery that he had done for her, and I just thought I'd try another doctor.
Okay. So he came well recommended to you?
He came recommended for a different type of surgery.
So why did you decide to use him for breast surgery?
I went and had a consultation with him. I listened to what he had to say, and I just thought I would use him.
How much was he going to charge you for the surgery?
He was going to charge me originally $3,600.
And ultimately?
The $75 consultation fee, and then I also paid, the total was $3,200 with the surgical center was $800, which brought a total of $4,000.
How much did you pay for the first surgery?
I don't recall, not the total.
Do you remember?
I wasn't involved with her at the time.
Oh.
I wasn't married to her at the time, Your Honor.
When did the two of you get married?
In '95.
But you have children from a prior marriage, is
That's
that right?
correct, yes.
You have no children together?
No.
I want to ask you a couple of questions, so stand up here. You fell in love with her the way she was, right?
Yes.
Did you encourage her to have this second surgical procedure?
No, I did not.
Did you try to discourage her?
Yes, I did.
My kind of man. You said, I love you the way you are, honey, don't do it.
Yes, I did.
Probably should have listened to him. How long do you stay in the hospital when you have this surgical procedure?
2 hours.
And how long is the discomfort period afterwards?
It's for about a week.
Or more?
Or more.
Well, in this case, Your Honor, it's for ever since it's happened. She's not able to even look at herself in the mirror. I have to deal with that.
Well, I don't quite understand because according to the complaint, your complaint against Dr. Cole is that your breasts are a different size.
Correct, they're uneven.
Uneven.
We paid the money that we paid for them to be even. They were even the
I
first
wouldn't have
time.
listened to me. At my age, I don't look so closely anymore. Even, uneven, I'm just happy that I have them, that's it.
Well, Your Honor, if I may,
Yes.
the first time she had it done, they were even. They were balanced out. We informed Dr. Cole and we gave him the procedure that had been done the first time and explained to him that they were uneven and that the first doctor had compensated for the fact that they were uneven. He explained to us that he understood and that he would make the proper adjustment to make them come out even, which he did not.
Dr. Cole, I'll hear you, sir.
When the couple came to me, the chief complaint here was that they did not like the first surgeon's work at all. She complains, and I have pictures to show, that the nipples pointed towards the axilla or the armpits bilaterally.
Did you complain about that?
No, he showed that to me, but I hadn't noticed.
You hadn't noticed it?
I mean, it was the way I was.
Go ahead.
She had a large retraction pocket with a muscle pulling in on the right side particularly. The breasts weren't round or smooth. They were irregularly shaped where the type of implants that were placed were adhesed to the capsules.
I don't understand all that. Does that mean they didn't look nice?
They didn't look nice.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So if you want to come back into chambers with me and you want to show me what your breasts look like, I'm certainly prepared to do that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Plastic surgeon Dr. Richard Cole denies he did anything wrong when he performed breast enlargement surgery on Sandra Lucio. Sandra says Dr. Cole botched the procedure.
Go ahead, Dr. Cole.
The chief complaint they had at that time was the shape. They did not like the shape of the breast. They didn't think it was normal or natural, and there was a lot of discomfort, particularly on the right side. The second thing...
you said that you had gone back to the other doctor because you'd had some discomfort.
I had pulled a muscle.
Just a second. Look at me. Did you complain that you had discomfort to Dr. Cole?
That I had
discomfort?
No, he's not the one that I went back to. I went back to the original one.
I know that. When you went to see Dr. Cole, did you tell him that you had discomfort?
I had pain.
Pain. All right. You told him that you had pain on one side of your breast?
No, I had pain from the incisions, not pain from...
What difference does it make whether it's pain from the incision from the surgery or pain from the implant? It's the same thing. You had pain in your breast, madam. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
I understand.
Go ahead, Dr. Cole.
The second thing they said was they'd like to have the breast enlarged if possible. The third thing I garnished not from them, but from the records they had given me from the first surgery, that there was some inequality between the breast sizes. The doctor had estimated that the difference between the two breasts was around 25 cc's difference, which is less than 2 tablespoons. But I said, if that's the third thing in terms of your interest, I will try to get that as close as possible. When I did the surgical procedure, I had a difficult time getting the capsules, the shape of the breasts, and I spent most of my time working on that so they'd be round and smooth, the nipples would point forward. The second amount of time I tried to do was to get the implant of largest size that I could in. And I explained this to Lucio's time and time again, that I could only get the size implant in that I could get in. I could not get more stuff in the area if it would not go. And I fill the implants till they're completely full and as much size as... I do not have any prior conceived notion about implant size. They cost the same to me. There's no more problem getting them in if they're bigger. I had no axe to grind as far as I put the largest ones that would fit in her body safely and still be able to close the muscle tissue. I did that, And by the time I got the implants filled, I could not take some out of one side to make them even because it would have made one implant grossly smaller than the other. And I explained this to him, that I had done the best I could to get best shape, the most size I could out of them, and that's what my aims were. She had on one side, just for numbers, 300 cc's before I started, and I ended up with 430. That's over a third larger than what she started off with. On the other side, again, I put 430 cc's.
Do you have photographs for me?
I have preoperative photographs.
And I'd like to see the postoperative photographs.
I don't have any post-op. She did not come back from the post-op.
Some photographs.
Well, I'd like to take a look at...
Sir, stay right there.
Okay. Can I see the postoperative photographs, please?
May I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
When we went to Dr. Cole informed us that he was able to put 400, the bag size, 400 cc's in her breasts and enlarge them to anywhere between, one side would be 450 to 460, the other side would be 490 to almost 500. When the doctor did the surgery, the only reason we even found out that he didn't put the right size in was because we asked for a copy of his report from his secretary. His secretary gave us a copy of the report. My wife was just devastated because he had not put the size that he indicated to us. We immediately went back into his office and said, "You didn't put the right size." He said, "Well, they no longer make that size."
Mr. Lucio.
Yes.
I can't use these photographs because these photographs don't show me anything. You showed me photographs, and your wife is wearing a brassiere.
Well, she was embarrassed to show you them without, Your Honor.
Well, then, that's not proof, sir. I need proof.
That shows you that I can't wear a bra.
No, it doesn't, madam, because I can, any woman can put on a bra, and unless she puts both sides in the same way, she can manipulate one side so one side looks one way and one side looks the other way. I have one set of photographs with the way you look preoperative, and I don't have anything here. You understand that, Mr. Lucio? I mean, what I have here is something that's masked, that's covered.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Then there's something more involved here than the desire to have perfect, huge breasts.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 38-year-old Sandra Lucio and her husband Jesse are suing Sandra's plastic surgeon, Dr. Richard Cole. The Lucios claim Dr. Cole botched Sandra's breast enlargement surgery, and now she faces another operation.
I mean, what I have here is something that's masked, that's covered.
Well, we have a report, I'm sorry, from another doctor, Dr. Villicana. Wait, no, it's, if I may, just, Your Honor, it's just a...
Evaluation and the cost of what it would be to correct the surgery.
I am not going to read a report from another doctor. If you want to show me another doctor's bill, a bill I will certainly look at, but I will not accept another doctor's statement in lieu of the doctor's testimony.
We were charged for this doctor's report so that he could also, show you that there is a difference. Just by
He says there's a difference. Madam, he says that there's a difference.
This is a drastic difference. I cannot wear a bra that's a normal size. One size fits and the other one does not. I would show you, you're a woman, you would just by looking at me. I can't wear a bathing suit. I can't wear anything that
Have you
is
been back
normal
to Dr.
size.
Cole?
We talked to Dr. Cole. The way he told me is that every woman is basically odd-sized. You're not born even. And he said that there wasn't much difference. To me, there is a difference. Eventually, after talking to him, then he said, okay, I agree. He would go in and reopen the valve. When we spoke to the other doctor...
When he said reopen the valve, he meant reopen the valve and take some out from one side?
No, he was going to put some more in.
Madam, I don't understand you. You know, I'm looking at the procedure, the preoperative procedure, the preoperative photographs. And quite frankly, I don't understand why in the world an apparently intelligent woman would want to have her breasts enlarged any larger than these are.
You make intelligent choices. I made an intelligent choice. You may not agree, but it was my choice.
It was your choice. It was your choice, and what's going to happen is you're going to have 3 surgeries on your breast. You know, there were women out there, Miss Lucio, who would love to just have breasts that didn't give them any trouble. 2
natural, nice breasts that didn't cause him any grief. You have children, you got a nice husband who said to you, dear, I love you just the way you are. Don't do anything. You're going to have surgery now 3 times in order to...
Well, if he would have done it properly, I would have only had the 2. I would have been satisfied with what I wanted, what I asked for.
Miss Lucio, I can't tell from your photographs the extent of the difference. So if you want to come back into chambers with me and you want to show me what your breasts look like, and I am not an expert, so I'm just a lay person looking at you and seeing whether there's such an aberration, so that there is such negligence on the part of the doctor so that I should award you $5,000. I'm certainly prepared to do that. Is that what you want to do?
That's fine.
Let's go.
Step over this way, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Dr. Cole, I must tell you that when we were in the back, I had no conversation with Mrs. Lucio with regard to this case. She was very upset. She still seems to be very upset, and what I was trying to do was to calm her a little bit and to tell her that if she wasn't prepared to proceed with this matter today, I was prepared to adjourn it unless she could compose herself. But we did not discuss the case because I know you were not with me. You might have felt certain misgivings. Do you understand?
I have no misgivings, Your Honor.
Good. Miss Lucio, I want you to look at me. I'm jealous. I say that in the hope to get a smile on your face, madam. I will tell you that what I viewed back there was a hell of a lot better than the photographs, the preoperative photographs that were furnished to me by Dr. Cole. And quite frankly, Mr. Lucio, I think you are exaggerating to a tremendous extent. What you said was a vast difference in the size of your wife's breasts. I certainly did not see it. I saw a breast enlargement that clearly was larger than what she had. The shape was much better than what she had. And whatever difference in size was de minimis to my naked, untrained eye. And I tell you, Miss Lucio, right now that I believe that if you're prepared to put yourself through another surgical procedure, then there's something more involved here than the desire to have perfect, huge breasts. And that you would be very wise to address what it is that's really motivating you to do this. To cut yourself up every couple of years in the quest to have the perfect breast. You are the mother of, you told me in the back, 3 children. Right? You've got a husband who seems like a nice guy who says, I like you just the way you are. What I saw back there was, to me, it's as close to perfect as you could want. And yet you're not satisfied, so there's something else there. And I suggest that it may need a different kind of doctor to address what would motivate someone like you, who has 3 healthy kids, doesn't have breast cancer, thank God, doesn't have anything wrong with themselves, to put you through 3 surgeries because you see that one breast is slightly smaller than the other. Insane. And for you to encourage her in that regard, sir, is wrong. You know what? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I understand.
I know you understand. You seem like an intelligent man. Don't encourage her. There's something else there in your wife's head that she's unhappy with. And if this is the vehicle that she's using in order to satisfy that, it's destructive. Dr. Cole, I don't think you made any errors when you did the surgical procedure on the plaintiff. I'm dismissing her lawsuit. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Judge, number 204 on the calendar in the matter of Miller versus Hager. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. You can have a seat.
Shame on you both. Always strikes me is when 2 adult men get into a car and get into a contest and let their testosterone take off and rule their heads, there's trouble. Especially when there's a child in the car, like this gorgeous little blonde thing. Mr. Miller, you're suing Mr. Hager because you say that after some sort of a dispute in your car, he was driving his, you yours, he attacked your car with a club
Yes.
and caused almost $400 worth of damage to the car. Tell me how it started, sir.
I was making a turn off of Valley View Street. I was going south. There's a frontal road there beside of it. Hager was coming, going south also on it. He run the stop sign. And as a result of it, I almost hit him. If I hadn't stopped, I would have hit him. I blew my horn. He raised his finger at me, and we proceeded down the frontal road.
So you're both now going in the same direction?
We're both going in the same direction.
And this is your grandchild?
Yes.
She was in the car with you?
Yes.
Where was she sitting, front or back?
Well, it was a pickup, so she's in the front.
Right next to you?
Yes.
Go ahead.
We came to an alley that runs down behind a shopping mall, and we proceeded down it, and we got to the end of the stores.
Which car was first and which car was second?
He was following me.
Just a second. His car was first, your car was second.
Yes.
Were you following him, sir?
Yes.
Why?
I was behind him. I mean,
were you following?
I'm going in that direction.
He was chasing me.
Shh, just a second. I'm going to get to you in a second, sir. You said you got to an alley.
Well, it's an alley, and it's also behind the store, but it's a parking lot also.
Well, were you going into that parking lot, sir?
No, I wasn't going into the parking lot.
So you were actually not behind him. You were following him.
Okay, I was following him.
Now, why were you following him?
So I could get his tag number.
Okay. And then what happened?
As we got to the end of the stores, there's also another small frontal road that leads to the front of the stores. He partially made the turn and stopped, jumped out, grabbed his club, and ran at me while I'm stopped. I had, in the meantime, stopped. He ran about 30 feet towards my truck, ran up to the side of me, took a swing at me. I pulled my truck forward, and he hit the back of my cab.
Can I see the damage to your car?
If you'll notice, Your Honor, the damage is at an angle as if you were swinging something, and you'll see that it's also right in line with me in the truck. So if I hadn't pulled forward, he would have hit me in the truck.
This has an open top, sir?
No, it's you looking at. May I get it to you? Oh, come on, surely. I take better pictures than that.
I got it. I got it now. Oh, I thought it was a convertible truck. I hadn't seen one of those. All right. Now I got it. All right, Mr. Hager, let's hear you, sir.
Well, what he said is correct as far as he was following me. I was very close to my home. I didn't want him, I wasn't going to go home knowing he was following me. I became fearful, wasn't sure what I should do. So yeah, I stopped, and in an attempt to defend myself, knowing that not knowing what he's going to do, I did take my club. He sees me stop. He's coming at me. He puts his head out the window of his truck and says, "I'm going to run you over." That's when he started to come at me with the truck. I jump out of the way, and he backs up a little bit and comes at me again. The second time is when he came close enough to me that I could swing and hit the truck.
All right, so I have a few questions for you, Mr. Hager. You live in that area, sir?
Yes. I was less than a block away from my home.
And how long have you lived there?
About 18 months.
So you know where the local police precinct is?
Actually, I found it after this.
You mean you didn't know before?
No. Well, it's a very large city. I wasn't sure where to go.
I don't believe you, sir. You see, I see this. You see, I see this around here.
Well,
and I'm like a truth machine. So don't tell me that you didn't know where to find a policeman.
I went to. Well, no, that would have been the alternative. Was drive around.
That's an alternative rather than getting out of your car with a club.
Right.
Because it doesn't seem to me to be logical, sir, that if you're in fear of your life, you are defending yourself against a 2-ton truck with a 2-pound club.
Right.
You see, that doesn't make sense. To me, what makes sense is if you're in fear, you stay in your car. What kind of a car were you driving?
A Camaro.
So you stay in your Camaro and you drive around until you see a police car, if you don't know where the local police precinct is.
Right.
Right.
But I thought of that after, but in the fear, I wasn't thinking that logically.
Listen to me, Mr. Hager. Why were you in fear, sir? You were in your car, windows closed, right? Windows closed.
No.
You could have closed the windows, Mr. Hager, right? You do have
yes.
electric windows in your Camaro?
Yes.
So you press a button, you close the window, and you keep driving, and you say to yourself, I got some nut here behind me. I'm not going to get out of this car. I'm going to stay in my car. But you get out of your car. Where was the club?
On the passenger seat.
You pick up the club, and you get out of your car. That doesn't make sense to me, Mr. Hager.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Wonder how afraid he was when he stuck his finger up. Could we ask him that question?
And later today,
Make me look like a liar. Make me look bad when you know you was stripping and you know you was working, Nicole. Don't stand there and lie.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bird Miller says Jason Hager's gesture led to violence, smashing Bird's pickup.
You pick up the club and you get out of your car. That doesn't make sense to me, Mr. Hager. It doesn't, it's illogical, sir.
To drive around looking for the police, I needed to, at some point, decide I'm going to stop and defend myself. That was it.
Defend yourself against what, sir?
This gentleman.
He's in his car.
I don't know that he's going to threaten to run me over. I think he's going to get out.
How can he run you over in your Camaro, sir? Sitting in your car, how can he run you over, Mr. Hager?
He can't.
Right. Sitting in your car, he can't run you over. Only when you're outside of your car, standing there armed with a weapon, can he run you over. Your mistake was getting out of the car. And then you hit his truck. So you were in a combat posture with a weapon. I mean, I'm not suggesting that what this man did was correct. I think, Mr. Miller, to be quite honest with you, sir, you're old enough to use your brains, and if this guy ran a stop sign, as you say, of course, you didn't run the stop sign. Is that correct?
Correct.
I knew that. I knew that's what you would say. But you have a very precious cargo. Not you, her. And so if you have a very precious cargo, and if you were fortunate enough, and God was watching you, and you didn't have an accident at that stop sign, you take a deep breath, and you say, phew, finished. I'm grateful that there was no accident, and you keep going. If you can get his license, that's fine. But to follow him into an alley is not swift.
It's really not an alley, Your Honor. I understand what you're saying, but
you understand what I'm saying.
I don't mean it's a,
I understand, but you got hot.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I'm not denying it at all.
Yeah, well, you want to get hot with you alone in the car. That's one thing, but you don't get hot when you have a baby in the car, especially a baby that looks like that.
Could I add something to this?
Sure, sir.
Okay. He said I almost hit him there at the stop sign. If you look at the pictures, you will see there's a median between Valley View and where he would have been sitting. So, in other words, I would have had to jump across the median in order to hit him.
Interesting, not terribly relevant, because we're not talking about what happened at the stop sign. What we're talking about was Mr. Hager's. You both exercised poor judgment on that day, in my view. But Mr. Hager's judgment is going to cost him the amount that you claim you spent or will spend to fix your car, and I assume you have a bill for that.
Your Honor, I have a bill for the damage. I don't have a bill for a rental car. It'll take 3 days to fix the truck, which is $25 a day.
Well, Mr. Miller, for your bad judgment, it's going to cost you to rent your car.
All right.
For his bad judgment, it's going to cost him to fix your car. And the grand total here is $279.80 to fix your car. Mr. Hager, it was a very dumb thing that you did, because he may not have been the kind of person that he is, and he may have, in fact, run you over. And
I'm sure of that.
And your 2-pound club wasn't going to help you. So,
well, you know, my question is, if he cares enough about this truck to get it fixed, why is he chasing people and threatening them with it?
Mr. Hager, he wasn't smart to try to chase you to get your plate number, and I assume that that's what he was trying to do. He did not get out of his cab. You got out of your car. Dumb. Stupid. And not only did you get out of your car, you got out of your car with a weapon. So it's going to cost you. The amount it's going to cost you is the amount that it's going to cost to fix his car. That's all.
All right, he's excused. You may step out. Thank you, Joe. Out the back, go to your right, please.
Come on.
And now the next case.
Party's on Cruz. Ambrosini versus Hernandez. Step forward, please.
16-year-old Nicole Ambrosini and her 20-year-old boyfriend, Moses Cruz, claim exotic dancer Lisette Hernandez owes them a refund on a condo.
You folks were living in the same hotel that the defendant was living in temporarily. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that where you became friends?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Well, we didn't become friends there. We became friends at work.
Okay. Don't tell. And there came a time when you were going to buy a condo. Is that right?
Yes.
And you approached the defendants to see if they wanted to rent a room in your condo that you were purchasing.
Exactly.
According to these papers, you said yes?
Yes.
And you needed some money.
Exactly.
How much money did you need?
$700.
And as sort of a down payment on their room, you gave her the $700?
Correction, Your Honor, that was $750. I have 2 contracts here signing. I had to pay a $500 first month and a $250 security deposit.
Okay, can I see what you have there,
Yes,
please?
ma'am. These are 2 pieces of evidence that I have, 2 contracts that Lisette signed herself.
Okay, fine. So let's assume it was $750. This is some contract.
I was in a rush, Your Honor. Grabbed the first thing I could. The next one's better.
Okay. And then, for some reason, which I'm sure that you will tell me, you decided not to move into the condo, and she gave you back $100, according to these papers. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am, she has.
And you want the other $650.
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was dancing with me. We were both dancers.
I'm
okay?
sorry, I'm 16
And I made
years old.
$3,000.
I'm 16 years old.
I made $3,000 and she know that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 16-year-old Nicole Ambrosini and her 20-year-old boyfriend, Moses Cruz, want the money back on a condo from exotic dancer Lisette Hernandez. Lisette says they moved out without giving notice.
Well, there came a time, I gather from these papers, that you moved out of the hotel but did not move right into the condo.
Right, Your Honor.
Where did you move?
Okay, at that time, we needed
This
a
is your
place.
boyfriend?
Yes, this is my boyfriend, Moses. We were looking for another location to live while we were waiting for the condo. We were going to just stay in the hotel. It was very expensive, so Lisette kindly offered us to stay in her boyfriend's house and pay $100 a week. We did that, and we stayed there for about 2 to 3 weeks, I believe, and we paid him for every week. At that time, we were told that she needed the money immediately, and we gave that to her within 3 days because she had said she had a closing to meet. And it would
Closing
be,
on the condo.
Yes.
I understand that.
She said it would be about a month to get it, okay? So in our minds, we're thinking, okay, we only have to tough this out for about a month. We wound up not getting a condo or not moving into a place for 3 months. We were waiting to move in for 3 months.
Just a minute.
For 3 months, Your Honor.
Did you stay in the boyfriend's house for 3 months?
Yes. No, we did not. We stayed in the boyfriend's house for about 3 weeks. The other times we were staying at the hotel, and then my father was moving out of his apartment, and he was moving out half of the month early. So
you moved someplace else.
Yes. Right.
But there came a time when you ultimately said to her, I don't want to move in.
Right.
And when was that?
That was in, I guess, February, March, April.
How much
April.
after you had left the hotel and moved into the boyfriend's house did you tell her, I want my money back. I don't want to move in.
About a month. Your
About a
Honor.
month. That's a lie.
Okay, you tell me.
That's a lie. It was one day. Okay, this is what happened. When they moved into the apartment with my boyfriend, with me and my boyfriend, they was paying $100 a week, which is true. Okay, now, when they was moving out, I didn't know they was moving out. My boyfriend tells me one day, Lisette, do you know that they moving out? I said, what? He said, yeah, they moving out. I said, no, I don't know nothing about it. He said, well, I'm getting ready to leave, so when I leave, you talk to them and ask them. When I came to you and asked her, I said, Nicole, y'all moving out? She said, yeah, we moving out. My father left me. Wait a minute. My father left me. My father left me an apartment, and I'm going to move into it, and we're going to keep paying the rent there or whatever to stay there. I said to her, so what do you expect me to do? You expect me to take the money right now and just give it to you when I don't have it? You know I'm trying to get this condominium, and I don't have the money right now to give to you. Okay, but before that happened, one day we had went out, or we was working or whatever. She was waitressing, and I was working in a place where we was working at. I made $4,000 that day, and I said to Nicole, I said, here, you know, I gave her like $1,200 to help her out or whatever. I never asked her for the money back. I never said nothing to her.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
Your Honor,
that's exactly what it was, $1,200.
Miss Hernandez, I'm going to simplify this. I've just, while you've been telling me this whole story, been looking at these two papers. These two papers, I assume that you recall signing. Is that right?
Right, and I agreed to pay her back the money. I did.
Okay, so
and I told her that I would pay for it as soon as I'd be able to get the money.
You signed the contract. So you owe her the money.
Right.
How much did you pay her back?
$100.
So you owe her $650.
Right, but she moved to Texas. But how did she expect me? I live in Florida. She lives, hold up. She gave me an address and expects me to make her money order every week and send her $50.
She said she would do that.
Stamp and everything.
Moses.
I said to her, let me finish.
Sorry,
they
Moses.
said they will come back they was moving back to Florida, whatever.
Miss Hernandez.
She said that.
Moses.
Moses.
You got to train him better.
I try, Your Honor. I try.
You got to try harder. If you don't do it now, it'll be too late. Do you understand?
Yeah.
They get into bad habits.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Miss Hernandez, you owe her the $650.
Right.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $650.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I wanted to make this easier for you, but in that time that I was struggling, trying to get money back, broke, Lisette wasn't paying us, my mother, who is a witness here today, sent me $300. I was living independently at the time.
What are you lecturing about? Just a second. What are you lecturing about? You sued for $650. I gave you $650.
Okay.
Say goodbye and thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Nerves.
269 on the calendar in the matter of Bettis versus Stipke. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please. Have a seat.
You had a birthday party at your house for your daughter Nicole
and Christina.
And Christina.
We also celebrated 2 other children's birthday at that time.
And according to this complaint, one of the other children who was celebrating a birthday was the daughter of a friend of yours.
Yes.
Who brought this gentleman to the party.
Yes.
So you came, sir, as an invited guest.
Yes, ma'am.
Of this lady?
Yes.
See how smart I am. Your claim is that while he was at the party, he was drunk?
Yes.
And he destroyed some furniture?
Yes.
Were you drunk?
No, ma'am. I had 3 or 4 beers at the most. They had other people drinking. Her sister and her husband were also drinking a beer.
Who cares about her sister and her brother? They didn't break furniture.
No, they did not.
Well, why'd you go to the birthday party and drink?
I just had a few beers.
Why don't you tell me, sir, how it came about that you broke this furniture? Describe what happened to me, if you remember.
Diane had threw a piece of ice up to me.
Just a second. Diane, that's you.
Right.
Stand up there, Diane, because I found that interesting. So she threw what?
A piece of ice up in the air.
Ice.
Ice.
Where were you standing at this time?
On the patio.
On the patio.
Describe how you threw a piece of ice. How far were you standing apart?
3 feet.
Well, move over another foot.
I felt like this.
About that far?
And
you, what were you doing? Your hands weren't behind your back, sir. What
No.
were you doing? You're holding a beer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make like you're holding a beer, right? All right.
And a cigarette.
And you're, just, what?
And a cigarette in the other hand.
Cigarette in the other hand?
Yes.
I don't remember.
Make like a cigarette in the other hand. Now, Diane, show me what you were doing.
I just tossed a piece of ice up.
An ice cube?
Yes. It was out of the ice chest. Actually, it was out of my cup, but Mike lifted his head up and he stepped
No, just
back.
you're going to show me. Toss the ice. Go ahead. Toss it. Go.
And when I went back, I hit the end of the table and went down and then busted my head open on a toy chest.
Just a second. I'm not interested with your head. I'm interested in the table. Right? You broke the table.
The end piece, yeah.
The end piece of the table.
Right.
Because you were acting like a fool at a children's birthday party. He had 3 or 4 beers. She's throwing ice cubes at you, and you're catching them in your mouth, right? And I say this to you, sir, because to add insult to injury, you filed a countersuit in this case. You're suing her because you fell and broke your head and split your head open. What does that have to do with her? What does that have to do with her?
That was her house, and I was on her property, and I went through pain and suffering through the deal.
So whose fault was that?
It was my fault.
So what are you suing her for?
For the pain and suffering I went through.
Why is your pain and suffering her problem? If you get it, listen to me, sir. If you get out of bed in the middle of the night, right, to go to the bathroom, and you stub your toe on a chair, and you break your toe, do you sue the chair manufacturer? Huh?
No.
No. Now, the table didn't have 3 or 4 beers and move. Right?
No.
So I'm really trying to understand what was in your mind when you filed this countersuit. Her lawsuit, I understand.
Okay.
Okay. That was easy.
Okay.
That was easy. Okay. Is that pretty much what happened?
In general, yes. We offered to call 911 or take him to the hospital. He refused.
You were
No,
being...
no, that is not true.
Doesn't make any difference. I want to know about the table.
Okay. Basically, the table was broke on one side, and he broke a chair.
So did you have it fixed? Were you able to repair it?
We tried to get it fixed. They were not able to fix the table and the
How
chair.
did he break a chair?
He was sitting in it, and when he leant over to get a beer off the table, he broke the chair.
He broke the... Well, that happened before the table.
Right.
You remember that?
No, there was no chair broken, no.
You don't remember a broken chair?
No.
There was not a chair broken.
How was it broken? You have a picture of it?
Yes, we do. It's basically just a little metal hinge that fits into the grooves of the side of the chair. It's a folding chair, little wooden folding chair. And
so did you fix the folding chair?
No, there's nowhere to fix the metal piece.
Did the party continue on after this happened with this fall?
Once they left, the party did end, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
He fell backwards, and I came watching over there, and Mommy and Mommy's friend and Diane, they tried to doctor him, but they rushed him to the hospital.
Thank you. Did you have a good time at your birthday party? Hmm? You didn't. Why not? Why not?
It's okay.
You can tell me. Tell me your name.
Tina, fix the table. Tina.
You offered to fix the table.
No, she's all right. She's all right. I won't ask her any more questions.
Thank you.
Evidently, she didn't have such a good time at the birthday party.
No. She does not want me to throw any more parties for her again because of what happened.
Why?
Because basically she seen him walking around drunk and fall down and shed blood all over at her birthday party.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I was told they were going to pay $50 each Sunday. I did not get any money, so I took matters into my own hands.
And later today,
I certainly wouldn't make damage in broad daylight with a neighbor walking outside in the street.
The police were there, and he fled.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 35-year-old Cynthia Bettis says Mike Stipke ruined her daughter's birthday party when he got drunk and broke a table. Mike says it was all an accident and is countersuing for medical bills.
How much is the table worth?
About $200.
Okay.
I have a letter from the lady who owns the table.
You borrowed the table from somebody else?
My in-laws did. They borrowed the table for the party.
Okay, well, it has to be replaced. And you have to pay for it. Don't be foolish.
I did offer to pay for it.
So then what are we doing here?
I asked for the money to be delivered, $50 every Sunday, and they agreed upon it, and it never came through.
I offered to write her a check in the whole full amount and have Mike pay me back because I live 3 blocks from him.
So? I never got that offer.
She says, I'm going away for the weekend. I'll call you when I get back. We'll make arrangements to happen. She didn't call.
Why don't you just drop off the check?
Why did I go over there? She made it clear she didn't want me over there.
Why don't you just send the check in the mail? Say, I'm sorry this happened. Sorry
I
for
am
the
sorry
birthday
it happened,
party.
and I made that quite clear to her.
All right. Well, it's a very unfortunate circumstance. Sir, you understand that you owe $200. That's for the table. I mean, little girls who had a birthday party, one of them had a good time. The older one didn't. She probably understands a little bit more about what was going on. Certainly, you know that your countersuit has absolutely no merit. If you act like a fool, sometimes you get hurt. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $200.
Do I get the table?
Do you get the table?
Yeah.
No, you get the judgment.
Okay.
Parties are excused. Step out.
Thank you. What a jerk.
Back door to your right, please.
It was an accident and it happened. I'm sorry that I broke your table.
Thank you. I'd like you to apologize to the kids that you ruined their party.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
And now the next case.
Parties on Oakray versus Engler. Step forward, please.
ATM saleswoman Marlene Opray is suing her business associate Roger Engler, charging he vandalized her car. Roger says she's retaliating against him over a business deal gone bad.
All right, Miss Opray, you claim that the defendant vandalized your car.
Yes.
By keying it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why would he do such a thing?
As retaliatory for not working with me any longer.
Well, tell me about that.
We just had a court case in San Francisco about 2.5 weeks ago to where he tried to say I owed him a sum of money for the month of June.
He was an employee of yours?
No, he was a self-contractor only if he were to sell ATM machines.
Okay, so he was an independent contractor.
Yes, Your Honor.
So he sued you last month.
And he lost because he didn't produce, he didn't make one sale.
Whatever. He lost.
That's right.
When was the car vandalized?
August 25th.
And when was the court case?
October 7th.
So the car was vandalized before the court case?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Did you report it vandalized?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Where was it vandalized? Tell me about it.
It was in my carport. My daughter saw him do it, and this is Linda, my daughter. Hi. And the police came immediately after he had done this, and he fled. If he hadn't done it, why would he flee from the police?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I have to tell you what he said in our last court case on October 7th when I told him I had 2 witnesses 2 weeks ago. And he says, nobody saw me do it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. ATM saleswoman Marlene Opray says her former business associate Roger Engler keyed her car, causing severe damage. Roger denies he did anything wrong.
You say, your mother says at least, that you actually observed him.
Yes, I did.
Well, tell me what you saw.
Your Honor, he came to the house around 8:30 or 9 in the morning. I answered the door, and this gentleman was at my mom's door. He asked if Marlene Opray was there. I asked who he was. He did not want to leave a name with me. I seen he had a white envelope in his hand. I said I was her daughter. I would be more glad to give it to her, and he refused to give it to me. So I shut the door. I went in, I told my mom, she was in the shower at the time. My mom asked him to come back in 30 minutes, asked what he looked like, and this and that. I described him. She couldn't place him. So I went back and I told this gentleman. He wasn't too happy about it. He said he had come a long distance to give this to my mother. And I says, well, like I said, if you want to come back in 30 minutes. I shut my door. I went into my room. Not even 2 minutes later, I heard a screeching noise outside. It's right outside my bedroom window. There's a carport. My car was parked there as well as my mother's. I didn't have any clothes on because I answered the door. I was in my pajamas. I opened it up halfway. I went to go put my pants on to run out there to see what he was doing. He was kneeling down on the other side of my mom's car on the right rear tire. So I got my pants on. I ran out there. At that time, this gentleman was pulling away. I ran out after him. He kept going. He did see me. I saw him look in his rearview mirror. There was another gentleman walking in the park there where we live. He said this gentleman had parked there for a while there.
You can't tell me what the other gentleman said. So you actually saw him kneeling against your mother's car?
Yes, I did.
You did not actually see him scratch your mother's car?
I seen him kneeling there. I heard a noise.
You heard a noise
Yes.
and you saw him kneeling near the car?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Had you parked the car there the evening before?
Yes, I did.
And when you parked the car there, can you describe its condition to me?
It was good. I mean,
What
I'd
kind of a
been
car is it?
driving all day. I had not been out of the car. I'd been on a long trip. And I'd parked there about 11:30 at night. And, Your Honor, we have security at the park, so nobody came in.
Do you have pictures of the car?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Ringler, I'll hear you, sir.
Okay. It's a nice story. Mostly none of it was true, but that's a nice story. Number one, we were partners. I had letters that showed that we were business partners. We had gone on a number of trips together. We were supposed to share income and so on.
I'm not interested in the other lawsuit, sir.
No, I
you
understand.
lost
No,
the
no,
other lawsuit.
I'm just giving background. She owed me money. She kept on promising she was going to pay money. And then all of a sudden she was disappearing and she wasn't returning calls. And she wasn't returning calls. We had been in for 3 months on the phone every single day, once, twice, sometimes 3 times a day, many times.
I'm not interested in that. You went to her house at 8:30 in the morning
No,
for what purpose?
First of all, it was 9:30 in the morning.
9:30.
Okay, there was.
For what purpose?
For what purpose? I went to give her a letter in her hand saying I've dissolved the partnership between us. And that's what I went to deliver. Her daughter came to the door. She was dressed. The door was open. She said, who are you? And I said, I just came here to give your mother a piece of paper. She said, let me go back and find out. She came back and she said, my mother's in the shower. Can you come back in 30 minutes? There was a gentleman walking in the street that we exchanged pleasantries. That was the extent of it.
Can I see the police report, please?
Yes, ma'am.
As far as I can see, is simply retaliation. It's whatever she can do. Nothing to do with me.
I see the police were called, sir, on that day, on the 25th of August. So it's clearly not retaliatory because you evidently did not proceed in court until October. Your judgment wasn't until October, the judgment dismissing your suit. She made this complaint the very day of the incident.
Okay. First of all, her car has had many damages on it that she's never repaired. I can't testify as to what scratches and things she had on that car or why she did what she did.
This is a key mark, sir.
Okay, but it could have been there.
This is a key mark.
It was not there.
Here.
Okay.
Show him.
It was not there.
Okay, it's a key mark. You know, but that doesn't mean that I had anything to do with it. It could have been there. I could tell you that she had damages on her car that she's never repaired, and she's using it as an excuse. You know, if it was vandalism, as she claims, then in fact, from what I understand, it's a criminal act. Why didn't the police come, call me, do whatever they want, arrest me? There's no logic.
Your Honor.
Let's see. Just a second. You were given information on how to get a temporary restraining order against him. Did you do that?
No, I didn't because I left on a long cruise. And like the police department said, if you're gone, I went all the way up to Alaska and Canada. There was no sense in getting a restraining order. I was going to be gone.
For how long?
I was gone for 12 days.
Mm-hmm. The cruise was before I even went there. The reason I know that is because one of her customers I had spoken to her and called me. The cruise was before.
What kind of business are you in, sir?
I'm in the ATM business. I sell ATM, cash dispensers, credit card processing, and so on. I was never an employee of hers. I was never a contract laborer of hers. I had my own company. She approached me to be a partner with her and hers.
I just asked you, shh. Have you ever been arrested?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. When?
2 years ago.
For what?
It was considered insurance fraud at the time. Although it was my own property. It was my own property that was stolen, and it was a nonsense thing. But that's how it was.
And you were convicted?
Yes.
Is that your first arrest, sir?
No.
When's the arrest just prior to that?
That was a case that was dropped on an advertising program that was eventually dropped.
How long was your probation on the insurance fraud?
2 years.
When is your probation up?
Oh, it was up before I came to California.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
This is not a criminal case. Criminal case, the burden of proof is proof by beyond a reasonable doubt that an act was committed. The quantum of proof in a civil case, and this is a civil case, is more evidence than not, what we call a preponderance of the credible evidence that an event occurred. So I must make a determination based upon common sense and based upon what I've heard, whether I am satisfied by a preponderance of the credible evidence, that is more evidence than not that you did in fact key her car. I'm satisfied. So you have the estimates for the damage?
Yes, and it's already been taken care of.
$1,241.25 is what you paid to have the car repainted on both sides. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,241. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
Judges number 278 on the calendar in the matter of Atkinson versus Cope. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
How old are you?
25.
Did you know how old she was when you started to date her?
Yes.
How old was she?
15.
And you were 23?
Yes, ma'am.
That's very dumb.
It's a lesson well learned.
Because in addition to everything else, it's a felony. Right?
Yes.
Now, Miss Atkinson, this is your mother?
Mm-hmm.
You're 17 now.
Yes, I am.
So this suit was really filed by you on behalf of your daughter. You say that you loaned him money.
Loaned him $2,000.
For what?
Repairs on his pickup truck. Bills that I paid for him.
Like what?
Gas and power. Very, very, very often, he would take me to the bank to get $20 out so he could get back and forth to work for a night. I have a copy of all my bank receipts for the time that we were dating.
Where did you meet him?
He is an old friend of mine's boyfriend's brother.
Yeah.
And we were just introduced one day, and we were friends for about 5 months, and then it went from there.
Did your mother know that you were dating him?
Yes, she did.
Did you think it was a good idea?
He wasn't like a normal 23-year-old. He was more like a 19-year-old. Seemed, and they were friends first.
That's not unusual. So he's 23 going on 19. And your daughter was 15 going on 16.
Yeah.
So you didn't think it was so terrible. Did you know that they were intimate?
Not for a long time, no.
So you took some money from her?
The loan was offered to me. What I did borrow from her, yes. Didn't take.
Well, tell me.
It was offered.
Right. And you took it?
It was offered
It
as
was
a loan.
offered several times, and I did take it. Yes, I borrowed, yes.
Why?
Not $2,000.
How much?
$800.
Well, $800 in one lump sum.
Yes, ma'am.
We're talking about little bits at a time.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
All the withdrawals listed on there, there's only, I think, one deposit that I made for my birthday on April 8th. All the rest of the withdrawals were not from me, not for me personally using the money, but from him using the money.
You mean using it to go out on a date, maybe?
No, to take it and pay his bills, or to, for instance, I bought him a differential. He needed a differential. I loaned him the $150 as a deposit down on the differential for his...
Does that sound familiar?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I've been self-sufficient since I was 18 years old. I paid all my bills. No. And no, she did not pay no gas, power, or electric bill. She loaned me, which was offered, $800, which I paid back. Now, I don't know where she comes up with this, no.
How much did you have in this account when you started dating?
To start out with, $2,200.
And prior to dating him, had you taken any money out of that account?
No, that account was saved up. I've been saving that money since I was 6 years old to go and buy a car when I was 16 or to go to college.
So what you're telling me is there were no withdrawals made from that account?
None. Zero.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Step up here, please, with your daughter. When did you find out that she was helping him out with money?
The first time I found out about it was his ex-girlfriend left a message on our answering machine telling Kelly that she would never get her $2,000 back, and a few other things she left on. And that was the first time I realized, uh-oh, she's really done it. She's given him some money. And I was afraid she wasn't going to get it back.
And when Mom confronted me, I did lie to her because I was trying to protect him.
When did you break up with him?
When? At the end of August.
Why?
He put his boot through the window of my parents' truck, kicked me in the face with it.
Why?
Lots of fights. We were in the middle of another fight, and it ended up in a domestic dispute.
Did you call the police?
Yes, I did.
In addition to the $2,000 that you say you took out of your account and gave to him, you're suing for $5,000 and the other for medical bills. For what?
During the time that we were together, I contracted a venereal disease, a virus called HPV. There's a letter from my doctor and bills, my medical bills for the last year.
Did you have sexual relations with anyone other than him during this period of time?
No.
What are you laughing about? Why is that a funny question?
No? Just like that? No? No.
Well, if you have some information that she had sexual relations with somebody else, I'll hear you, sir.
She had a sexual relationship with a very close friend of mine.
When?
When? During the time that we were dating. Okay? The money that she loaned me, the $800, okay, yes, I did pay back. This was a doorway to open the account, and once the money had started being removed, the $800 that was loaned to me, then she went ahead and removed more money. Okay, whenever I caught up to this, and I confronted her about this, you know, spending money to go here, go there, I said, Kelly, you can't do that. That's not right.
Show me proof that you paid back the $800.
Show me proof that I borrowed $2,000.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When you fool around with jailbait, you sort of accept the consequences of that, sir.
And later today...
You're not a man. You're a little weasel.
Because
your whole family.
Just go. Put him away for 20 years. So.
You know what? You're all going to jail.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kelly Atkinson is suing her former boyfriend, Daniel Cope, for money he took when they were dating. She also claims Daniel gave her a sexually transmitted disease and wants him to pay for her medical bills.
Now, you answered one question that I posed to you, sir, with a different answer. I asked you how you knew that she was having sexual relations with somebody else at the same time she was having sexual relations with you. And you are telling me about $800.
How do I know?
Yes.
Because I drove over to my buddy's house. That's where she'd spent the night instead of over at my house like she told her mother.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I caught them.
You caught them what?
I caught them in the house. Half dressed.
Does that sound familiar to you?
No, it does not.
Well, would you tell me what he's talking about if you
I
know?
have no idea.
Well, tell me about it, sir.
What do you want to know about it?
She was supposed to be spending the night with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And?
And?
She wasn't there?
She was not there.
So you went looking for her?
I went looking for her, yes.
Well, I'm making this very easy for you.
Well, thank you.
Good. How much are your medical bills?
So far, out of pocket is $895. And I'm going to need many more.
Well, you know, you're partially responsible, madam. So's your mother.
Mm-hmm.
In my judgment. You said it. He was 23, going on 19.
Mm-hmm.
Probably more like 15. So, he's no genius. Your daughter is 15, going on 16, and clearly she's no genius. You're supposed to be smart enough to put your foot down and say, I don't want you to see this guy because he's too old for you, and I don't think it's appropriate at your age. At age 15, to be dating somebody who's 23 is not appropriate. Maybe when you're 30 and he's 38, it's a different story. But right now, it's not appropriate. That's your job as a mother.
Okay, now whenever Mom did find out about his age and how much we were hanging out together, I was lying to her, again, to try to protect him.
Your mother still says she knew very well that you were dating him and that she gave her tacit approval because she felt that he was immature enough to be almost a contemporary of yours.
And I trusted
Which is
them.
a kind way of saying it.
Very kind.
Very kind. So you bear part of this responsibility. You know. Have you had yourself tested, sir?
I had myself tested, yes.
Good. Do you have the results of the test?
I have what they mail me is a card that says you're okay, fine, that you don't need to call us, you don't need to contact us, that you don't need to come in.
Let me see.
Okay, this does not say nothing, but it's a mailer, all right?
Well, it doesn't say anything. What are you giving it to me for?
That's the only thing that I do have. Okay, if otherwise I'd have been notified, say, you know, I'd have gotten a phone call saying, come in, we need to discuss this.
What made you go here for blood tests, sir?
Because I started a new relationship, and I wanted to get tested. I wanted to make sure that, you know, before I have an intimate relationship with anybody, that I do not have a problem.
Well, this is interesting because this was just done in October.
Yes, ma'am, I have a new relationship.
I heard that already. You sound like a broken record. But you stopped seeing her in August, right?
A year ago.
A year
ago.
Right.
Right, so this doesn't tell me anything because I don't know whether you were tested a year ago and were treated during the course of that year for anything. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She'd been having sex for long before I come around.
And later today,
You're a lying scumbag. Your whole family is that way. Your dad's constantly bails you out. Your whole family is that way.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kelly Atkinson is suing her former boyfriend, Daniel Cope, claiming he gave her a sexually transmitted disease. Daniel says he knows nothing about it.
Mr. Cope, nobody is blameless in this situation. Unfortunately, you are the legal adult and she is the legal minor. And when you fool around with what we used to call, when I was a child, jailbait, you sort of accept the consequences of that, sir. You took out this money. This was your money supposedly for a car,
For
correct?
a car or college, whichever I decided that was more important at the time.
And so far you have medical bills in the amount of $895. I'm giving you a judgment in the amount of $2,895. I'm saying the following to you. You started off your life wrong. You're supposed to be smarter.
Mm-hmm.
You're 17 years old. Your mother is supposed to be smarter. Your mother is supposed to be protective. And as far as I'm concerned, this 15-year-old shouldn't have unfettered control over a substantial bank account. It's her money, but she's still a kid.
Right.
Fortunately, what was coming out wasn't money to buy drugs or other things, but it could have been. So you got to be very, very careful and very vigilant as a parent these days. I assume your new girlfriend is over the age of 18.
Yes.
Great. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Back there to your right, please.
And I thought maybe they'd be good for each other. Maybe she'd help him grow up a little bit and he'd help her grow up a little bit.